What's going on, ladies and gents? Latest episode of Being Black is Ghetto. I am your lovely host, Jay Evans, the one that people love to hate and hate to love. And to the couch, my lovely co-host,
Patty J.
All right, and today we have a special guest, the specialist of guests, a licensed therapist. She can introduce herself as...
My name is Assata. I'm a licensed mental health therapist.
All right. Now, before we get to the antics, Patty, how's your day?
My day was really well. Had a nice dinner. My belly full. I'm ready.
Alrighty. How about you, Assata? How you living?
My day was good. Nice and relaxed. I'm preparing for Thanksgiving. And yeah, my day was cool.
All right, I like to hear that.
And because the therapist say I'm act nice, how was your week? How was your day? We usually don't ask him.
I've had better days and better
weeks.
Be on
good behavior today.
Right? I've had better days and better weeks. All right, I see a nice little sweater you got on. Is that some merch over there, something?
Yeah, something like that. So it says Assata, which is my name and also the name of my private practice, and then the definition. So it actually means she who struggles, but being that I made my private practice the name, so I put they who struggle.
No.
Okay.
And she said private practice. Yeah.
All right, so before we get to the antics, let's do some lovely housekeeping real quick. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell notification at the top so you don't miss any of our lovely drops. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff, etc., etc. Now, before I even introduce the topic, Assata, how you feel?
All right, I'm nervous. And I'm only nervous because I feel like you keep saying before we get to the antics.
She's like prepping him to...
And I want to just make sure I stay composed and I don't engage in the antics. So, I'm a little bit nervous.
All right, and let me start this episode with this. For everything that I'm going to say this episode does not mean I believe in it. Because I don't know why you got to say this to the fans, but for what I'm saying is opposing views. That is all. Because as a podcast, there's people that's going to listen to this that might not agree to therapy or they might agree to therapy, they might not agree to therapy. So I'm not going to be on a panel full of people to be, we all agree together, all right? Some things I might agree with, some things I'm not. But don't think, because if I don't agree with it on the podcast and in real life, I feel like that. It's ridiculous that I have to actually say this, but clearly the internet is the internet, so we got to say certain things. But with that being said, therapy doesn't exist because it's man-made. Explain and elaborate more to me. Or do you have anything to say about that?
No. Therapy doesn't exist because it's man-made?
Yes.
What about juice?
Oh.
What about clothes? You wearing them?
So my argument is this, all right? To diagnose somebody to say certain traits become, I don't know. Let's use the word narcissism because that's going to be the word of the day, right? Mm-hmm. This person narcissistic because of X, Y, and Z. At what point in society did this term become a thing? And how did it become a thing? And how did one person just look at another person and say, you are this thing, and the rest of the world just ran with it? Elaborate.
But that's the problem with trends. See, I'm not even about to answer that question because I didn't create it. But that's the problem with trends. If somebody say, hey, we're wearing our clothes inside out, a lot of followers are going to start wearing their clothes inside out. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. If I'm being honest, mental health is something that has been created and for such a long time and has been overlooked as well. Now that we have now entered this stage of an epidemic of mental health, everything is mental health is being glorified, but it's been around for a very long time.
Alrighty, that's fair. I don't disagree. My thing is, right, in the topic of mental health, right, I just feel like, especially, like I tell her every day, it's a bunch of TikTok buzzwords out there, all the gaslighting, narcissists, all the things that people are magically become once you stop messing with one another.
It's not magical. I don't believe it's magical. Like she said, I think social media plays a major role in why these conversations are being had now. In the past, it'll get brought up, but everybody would kind of just be like, whatever. Now that social media is out and people are actually being more aware and more interested is why people are talking about it.
All right, so my number one question is right now to really get to why is there a negative connotation on the word narcissist?
Why is it a negative?
Or do you believe there's a negative connotation on the word narcissist?
Well, it depends on... Go ahead, answer.
I mean,
I can't stop laughing at them.
My opinion of it is the reason why I look at a narcissist as a negative because the characteristics of that is negative. like arrogance and feeling like you are this have self-importance and all those things. I feel like that's a negative thing to be. So that's why I feel like narcissism is a
disagree.
negative. Because it's like, for me, I look at narcissism, psychopath, all of those things, it's a negative. Nothing about those things are positive. So how is it not?
Yeah. Why are we not? Oh, I'm sorry.
What happened?
Continue. We're good.
So why do you feel like narcissism is not?
I didn't say, so I agree partially, right? That's actually the number one trait that when people say that one, they be like, a narcissist is one who thinks highly of himself.
But let's rewind real fast. Wait, let's rewind. Let her give the definition of narcissism
She's
first.
asked me, so I just want to say, I just want to get that bar off. For thinking highly of yourself is negative. Yes or no?
No.
Thank you. Continue.
But see, this is the problem. You said people say that number one thing about a narcissist is that they think highly of themselves. That's the problem. People can't diagnose.
Talk about it.
Because first of all, narcissism is a personality disorder. So think about it. Anything that is too much of something is unhealthy. Mm-hmm. Anything. So if anything that you do too much of is unhealthy, you need a balance. So when we're talking about a personality disorder, we're talking about an imbalance of something. That's what makes it a mental health disorder. That's what makes it a negative. Well, the negative connotation is attached to it because it's too much of it. It's an imbalance of it. You can walk around and you can say, I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I can do anything. Those are affirmations. Mm-hmm. So what's the difference from when an affirmation turns into something that's negative? It's when we start adding the rest to it, the other qualifications that allow you to diagnose someone. And remember, a specialist, someone with diagnostic privilege, a therapist diagnose people, not just me talking to you as a regular human being and I'm gonna say, hey, you're a narcissist. No, that's not how that works.
Because I definitely be diagnosing people and I'm not a therapist or a person to diagnose.
You're not supposed
but
to.
I be straight, that person's on the spectrum. That one right there, he got some problems. That is me. That's
an opinion.
Yeah, I stay doing
That's not a fact. No psychosocial was completed. Mm-hmm. We didn't do no assessments. You're taking the therapeutic lens out of it and you're giving your opinion. And because of trends and fads, people run with it.
Facts.
But also, I think for me, because I speak with confidence, because I'm so strong in my tone. When I say something, people just believe it as a fact. I don't understand why. My opinion is my opinion.
Right, correct. I don't know why they believe it as a fact.
Because of my tone and how I deliver it, everybody's like, well, you think all that. I definitely do think you're on the spectrum. Is it true or not? I don't know. You ain't get diagnosed, but I think you're on the spectrum. That's just my opinion.
Well, just to double back on our past, emotional maturity. All right. That was where I mainly came from because she's like, well, that's my opinion. By definition, at least I personally felt like, by definition, I don't fit that definition. So you call me that, I took it offensively because it's like, you're just saying it to say it because by definition, I'm not that.
I also gave him an example as to why I thought that way about him too.
If you are establishing this quote, if you were going to call me something, I would hope that I fit the definition that is available in the dictionary.
But that's your perception.
And that's he
asked my opinion, and I gave him my opinion that he's not, with an example as to why he's not.
So
he didn't even understand the example I gave.
So then here comes why I talk about mental health the way I do sometimes, because to me, a lot of these terms all are opinionated at the end of the day. I just had a conversation earlier about arrogance. She feels like she's not arrogant at all. I feel like she is.
I feel like he only put the...
So
he only says things about me to get me upset.
Let me finish. All right, we're not cutting each other off today. All right? I felt like she's been arrogant. She felt like she hasn't been. So when we talk about mental health, it's a bunch of people, once again, like you just said, on these TikTok buzzwords, throwing diagnoses at one another, when realistically, it just feels like these are all a perception / opinions of others.
That's what they are.
Proven.
It could be. That's very true. It's not proven unless, like I told you, where's the assessments? Where's the psychosocial? Where is the science behind it? No one should be throwing your buzzwords. And that's why, get off of TikTok. It's not real. Like, no, you can't say someone is a narcissist because you made a 25-second video and just said the reasons why. How you know? What qualified you to diagnose this person as a narcissist?
And I will ask you this as a licensed therapist now.
But wait, before we move forward, because you said a lot of things and then let me talk. And let me talk first before you move on. In that conversation, he asked my opinion of him, which was if he was emotionally mature or not. I said no with an example as to why I feel that way about him. Then he started to try to debunk my example I gave. My thing is, if you're going to say something about somebody or give your opinion of somebody, I think you should come up with a situation that happened where you believe that person was that. When he said that I'm arrogant, I asked him for an example. Give me an example of how I was arrogant or how I displayed that behavior, and then we could talk about it. He couldn't give me a proper example.
I literally gave you the example from the episode.
He kept on saying, "Oh well, in the conversation you might have." You didn't even.
No, I didn't say might have. I said it's literally in the clip. I'm not gonna go watch the clip right now, but the episode is available. All right, the episode, I think it's episode 27. For the fans, I want to refer back. At some point in that episode, Patrice had said she is better than me and JD. Because she's went to therapy longer. I felt like that was arrogant. You can say you asking for the proof. I'm not gonna watch the video or cut the video for you to do it. The proof is there. It's in episode 27.
I don't believe it.
The episode with her with the white t-shirt and me with my Rise Visions hat. It's in that episode.
I know what happened. From my perspective, that day, I know what happened.
Camera in
JD
4K.
said, "You talk like you are better than people." I said to him, "If you believe that, that's because you believe that, and if that's the case, then I'm that." That's what I said.
All right. Well, we don't gotta expound too far on this. Point is, it's on 4K camera. It's on video.
Okay, but
whoever wants
tell
to cite
the full
source
story.
That does not. But all right, I saw what I said. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. So you believe she's arrogant. She believes that you're emotionally immature, and you feel like that's an opinion.
Yes.
So,
I feel like in all of emotional immaturity is an opinion.
It is an opinion, but I never said it wasn't.
So let me ask you that as a licensed therapist: is emotional maturity something fact based or it's an opinionated thing?
I would say. I don't want to say it's fact-based. It is fact-based. I'm going to say that. It's fact-based. I'm going to go with that. If I had to choose, it's fact-based.
So explain how is it fact-based?
Because time and place. A fact is, if this is not, like, this is the most simplest way I could put it. If this is not the time or place for you to come and behave immaturely, as a fact, you are behaving immaturely. Because of where we are, what's happening, you're not reading the room. I would go with that's a fact. And anybody can see that.
You see, and this is where
But because you feel compelled...
Put your tweaking hat on.
Because you feel compelled to it, you feel like, I'm going to say what I have to say.
All right. But here, once again, this is why the argument that we had, I was standing so strong on what I stand on, right? I do believe there's a time and place for everything, but I'm not going to call somebody emotionally immature depending on how they want to handle certain situations. For example, and I hate to double back, but we're going to have to do it today, right?
But even in that statement that you just said, how does that make sense? You said, I do believe in the time and place, but I do not believe that a person is emotionally immature for handling things the way that they see fit.
Yes. Well, in the course of this episode, it normally gets her upset. I believe in two things can be true a lot. A lot.
Okay. This is
So I believe when people say two things could be true, that's their way of trying to ignore the truth.
So I will say so yes to you what you just said to me, right? I believe two things can be true. Time and a place for everything. But I will never say someone's emotionally immature for how they might handle a disrespectful situation. Because everybody is different.
And that's why people are killing people, and that's why people end up in jail and we losing lives. That's exactly why. Because they lack emotional maturity. So because you made me upset, I'm going to go get my gun and I'm going to shoot you. I have no skills of communication. I don't know how to talk it out. But you just said that because of their emotions, they can handle it as they see fit. Incorrect.
There are some people in this world that are completely comfortable with the consequences that come with their actions. Even if it is as extreme as taking another person's life.
That's fair, but that doesn't make it correct. You don't have the power to take someone else's life. So how dare you do that because you're slighted? That's fine if you okay and say, yo, I got my respect. I'm going to sit up in this jail for life. That's cool. If that's what you want to do, that does not make your actions correct. That's emotionally immature.
But once again, and that's the opinion side of it, because you think it's emotionally immature because I decided to go this super extra mile, which granted, I do believe once again on this pod that yes, that is extreme. But someone might not believe that is extreme.
It doesn't matter if they believe it.
Someone, or not even someone, just people on this earth that literally stand by the statement, I will die by my respect. So certain people on this earth, you disrespect them, and they're going to show you a reason why you should have respected them. Now, whatever way they want to show you how they should have been respected, that all varies.
But that's not... That you're absolutely right. See, I'm not arguing with that. My point is that still is emotionally immature, especially if we're going to talk about being humane and having morals and values. So it doesn't matter if you want to die by respect, by all means, do your big one. That does not mean that is correct. That's absolutely incorrect and emotionally immature.
I don't agree.
He just
Okay.
don't want me to be right.
No, I'm just saying. Because at the end of the day,
I was right. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, the response always is, which she kind of doubled down on what you said. At the end of the day, it comes back down to how you handle the situation. She personally believes that is not a mature way to handle it, but
It's not
someone
about-
else might not feel that way.
What
That's
you're
why
not,
at the end of the day,
what
it
you're
is
not
not
understanding
a
is
fact.
there's levels to it though. Like you just, it's you either you are or you aren't. It's
But
just
there's no
that's just
levels to
it.
it. The exact example I gave her on that episode, SMD, right? If somebody told her to SMD, she's like, well, I would walk away because of X, Y, and Z. I don't feel like I need
And
to.
somebody else might shoot the person.
Exactly. And now if I were to say, right, oh, I think you're emotionally immature because somebody told you SMD and you just walked away. How you gonna let somebody disrespect you? Am I
And what did I
warranted to say such a thing?
It is what it is.
That's your opinion.
And it is what it
Okay,
is.
so now the opposite way around, where if I wanted to punch somebody in their mouth for inviting me to their private parts, I'm emotionally immature for that? Yes or no? And that's crazy to me.
I would say yes, but would it be understood? Yeah. I would personally, as a human being, even as a therapist, I would understand why you punched the person in the face because it was disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the correct thing to do? No. Could you have handled it differently? Absolutely. There's always options, but in that moment, what you felt and why you felt that way, whatever made you feel that way, then you have to stand on that. That's everybody has the right to their dignity. Nobody's saying that. That's your choice. Now, if you're gonna walk away or say now you got an assault charge, you might feel like, oh well, I got my respect. It is what it is. I'm gonna take the charge and whatever. Somebody else might feel like, or you use you as an example, or you might also feel like, damn, yo, it really wasn't worth it. I really got such and such that I'm working for. It can go either way. So was it worth it? That's up to you to decide. Is there a better way that you could possibly have handled it? Absolutely. That's all that's what I'm trying to say. Emotionally immature, I would go with is more of a fact of the matter.
And the main thing I said to her, because every answer basically of being emotionally mature is normally just being the passive, take the high road. So that's what I said on that episode. I said, so if I don't take the high road, that makes me emotionally immature. But if I take the high road, that makes me emotionally mature?
No, it's not about taking a high road. It's more about creating chaos. So the fact that you even look at it like that is even, that's no. You don't always have to be passive. You use that. You don't have to be passive. If you feel like, yo, this is not worth it, and you decide to do something else, then that's what you decide to do. But if you feel like I'm here for it, I want all the smoke, and you're creating chaos, that's emotionally immature, but that is your choice. Because what comes after it, you decide if it's worth it. Then the people around you. So this is not, you got to think micro, you got to think macro, right? It's not just you in the environment. If you have children, if you have family, who does that affect? When you cause this beef with this person, are they coming and shooting up your house? Is your grandmother okay? That's where the emotional maturity comes from. People, when they make decisions, they think for self, but they don't realize, oh shoot, look at my environment and look at the outer on a macro level, how now my family, my generation is now affected. That's the emotional immaturity.
I hear you, sister, but I gotta offer some pushback.
No pushback. Let's go to the next topic.
Let's go
to the next topic.
No,
You can-
because
you can
actually,
play
there's
flag.
more. I wrote down some things. You know what I'm saying? So listen, one, I feel like it's a little weird to say that because to think for self, you live alone, you die alone at the end of the day. At least in my opinion.
That's why I said let's move to the next topic.
In my opinion.
That's why we move to the next
So
topic.
I'm saying though, because we have this topic all the time. She thinks I'm a person that I do too much for others. So to make that comment, am I wrong then for living a selfish life? Or yeah, I'm supposed to everything I do.
You're going to a different direction.
I'm not.
Focus on this conversation.
Let me finish my point. Exactly. So everything I do now, I'm supposed to think about everybody else around me.
Nobody said that.
When am I supposed to divert the two? And also to the problem of you saying it creates chaos. I do want to ask: is there a problem creating chaos? In the history of man, change has never come without chaos. Facts. I'm just asking questions. I'm making blanketed statements.
It's a problem. In my opinion, it is a huge problem with creating chaos because some things are so unnecessary.
Do you have children?
None.
Do you have like a wife, girlfriend?
None.
Do you live alone?
No.
Do you live with other people that you care about?
Yes.
Okay. So somewhere along those lines, and as you make your decisions, you learn in life that your decisions don't only affect you. They affect other people. So you decide if chaos is necessary or not.
Is that a question or answer?
No, that's a statement.
Oh, all right. I want to make sure.
We can move to the next topic because this is a big one. We got to talk about it. So we could go back on to, in general, what made you decide to be a therapist?
That's a good question. I decided to be a therapist. Well, all my life I knew that my purpose was to serve others. Well, at least let me say this. I thought my purpose was to serve others. And as I started to understand my name more, because I never could understand, why am I always struggling? Why is there always a problem? Why am I always at war with something? Internally, mentally, physically, emotionally, like why? So as I started my journey of healing, and I went heavy into my healing, I started to learn what my name really meant. And then I'm like, oh, shoot. Like, your purpose is not to serve. Your purpose is to heal. So as I accepted that, see, with my obedience to God, I had to accept the purpose, right? So I like to look at myself as an alchemist. I was hurt so bad in situations that I had to come out of it. And instead of using my pain to hurt others, because hurt people, I use my pain to empower others. I learned how to heal people. So with me being obedient, I'm like, you know what? Let me figure out what's my best way to give back. And like I said, growing up, I thought my purpose was to serve. I was already going to school for helping people. I was already going and studying. I got my master's in science. And I'm like, I want to be a therapist. That's the best way that I knew how to help people other than philanthropy, because I do philanthropy as well. And then, like I said, once I healed and stuff, I'm like, okay, my purpose is to heal. So let me go into private practice. Let me figure out how I could give back to other people and be as impactful as possible. So that's how I got into therapy.
Next question we had, and this one, he going to have some pushback, I'm sure.
I just ask
What
questions.
is a narcissist? And well, we asked the positive of it or the negatives of it earlier, but what is a narcissist?
You know what? I got the DSM right here.
What is the DSM?
The DSM is where you actually diagnose people. You see, you need this criteria. This is not opinion-based. This is fact-based, evidence-based, science. So this is the DSM. This is why people should not be walking around just diagnosing people. You follow the DSM. There's a certain criteria that the individual must meet over a certain amount of time, depending on what the diagnosis is, and we know if they qualify for the diagnosis. So it's like our law as a therapist, the DSM. I don't just walk around and say, hey, I think you're a narcissist. Although I have a master's in science, that doesn't mean that they meet the criteria. So I have to now go and I have to look and I have to say, let me see if they meet the criteria.
Okay.
So how long does it take to diagnose somebody?
It depends on what the diagnosis is. Some diagnosed span, it could go 2 weeks. You could have it 3 months or more. Depends on what you're facing. Manic episodes or not, depending on whatever the diagnosis is or whatever are their symptoms. So, I'm not going to read it specifically because I want it to be understanding to other people. But a narcissist is basically someone who shows a pattern of grandiosity. Like everything is about them. They have a lack of empathy. They don't care about how other people feel. They don't care about benefiting other people. It's usually shown in the beginning of their adulthood, and it comes in many different ways. So in order for you to be diagnosed, you have to have at least 5 of the criteria. So some of them that are very popular, like I said, is lacking empathy, unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and the needs of others. So when we talk about, oh, well, if that doesn't work for me, then oh, well. Like, oh, she's sad. Oh, well, it doesn't benefit me. And they go on. So they lack empathy. They're arrogant, right? With their behaviors or their attitudes. They only care about themselves. They have fantasies of unlimited success. Powerful. You will hear narcissists talk about themselves, how powerful they are, how much money they have. Even if it's not real, they fantasize about it. They also do things that specifically benefit them. So they utilize people to benefit themselves. How could they move to the next place? How could they get higher in what they're doing? So most of the times, more times than not, evidence show that a lot of narcissists are the CEOs of programs, right? People who are perfectionists. They have to have things done a specific kind of way, or this pressure is given in to them, and they look like they perform well. Well, that's because they don't care about certain people. They don't care who got to get cut. They don't care about the underdog under them. Whatever is going to make them climb to the top, more or less, that's where we get narcissists from.
Okay.
A sense of entitlement. They supposed to be here. This is what's supposed to happen. Like, how dare you question me? Like, what? Narcissism.
Okay. I'm glad somebody was able to give the actual in-depth definition of narcissism. And I do be diagnosing people, and I'm going to stand on it still to this day. I be knowing.
But this is what I'll be saying. That's why I'll be
I be
losing.
knowing.
This is why I'll be losing me. Literally, I'm going to speak for myself. In my opinion, everything she just said, stop fixing your lips to say I'm a narcissist then. Like, that's why it's dead.
I say to him all the time, I believe he has traits of narcissism.
That's fine. You can believe somebody has traits. That
That's all
doesn't
I
make
say.
you a narcissist, or that doesn't mean you have narcissistic personality disorder, if we're going to be clinically correct.
So I just want to use this time to start doing that, though, because obviously she said I believe, but I think let's use this platform to be responsible and start pushing that message. Stop using these words on people when y'all are not licensed therapists.
We could use the words if we want to. It's up to you to take it or run with it or leave
But
it.
like, that's immature to do and uneducated to do, because at the end of the day, you didn't go to college for it. So stop.
It's my opinion.
I would have to agree.
Stop
I would have to
misdiagnosing
agree.
people when you have not went to school to study to be diagnosing people. Stop doing
I'm
it.
gonna still give my opinions, whether or not I
So
have
this
that,
is-
I have a degree.
Well, you're being willfully ignorant, but that's neither here nor
How is
there.
that ignorant? I can have an opinion. My opinion is my opinion.
You're giving it ignorant because at the end of the day, you're not educated enough to speak on it, and you're speaking on it.
I can still have an opinion.
But
And
you
that's
can say,
ignorance.
I believe.
I
or
said that.
feel like,
I believe. Yeah,
but
I
I
believe
still
that you
wouldn't
might have
use the
the-
term. And the reason why I wouldn't use the term is because, have you guys ever heard of the 4 Agreements?
No.
The book? I recommend reading it.
gonna read
Especially for you. I recommend reading it. Now, the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The reason why I think that this is important and the reason why I'm bringing this up is to go with what you're saying. The power of the tongue is a very powerful thing.
Facts.
Now, they give an example in the book of a mom. She worked hard. She had a long day. And her daughter, who sings, has a very beautiful voice. Her daughter's walking around the house and she's singing and she's singing. And because mom was so stressed out, she yelled, like, could you shut up? Please stop singing. With her doing that, she casted a spell on her daughter. And her daughter then internalized that, dang, my voice sounds bad. The girl never sang again. For years, she felt like she had a bad voice. Eventually, her mom asked her, like, why you stopped singing? And she told her. Now, I bring that up as the example of you never know the impact or the influence that you're having on somebody else. So if you could be responsible enough or make it your duty to be impeccable with your word, that would be my recommendation for everyone. So to be very responsible with your words, as you stated, not title people or call people out of their name or say things like that, because some people, they don't have the emotional maturity. They don't have the balance to understand, like, hey, that's a you thing. That's your opinion of me. They might internalize it and say, wow, I'm really ugly. Wow, this person thinks I have big lips. Or that's why the impact of bullying is so big, because however these young people are being raised, or even adults who weren't raised correctly or with the right tools and tactics, they internalize what's being stated. So I would have to agree with you on, let's not run with TikTok terms, buzzwords, and all of these things. And we're telling people that this person is this and this person is that. You don't know how it's impacting that person. And they might actually walk away believing that they are that person and they're not. It's not your responsibility because that is your opinion.
No, I had a response
But
to what
if
you said. I'm just-
if you could be mindful, that would be my recommendation.
When I say things to certain people in my life, I say it because I want them to go get help. That's why I say the things I say. I want to impact them enough to where they want to be like, you know what? Maybe I should go get help.
But
Maybe
why do
I should
you
go
think
get
that your
evaluated.
opinion of them is going to make them go get help?
I hope. It's only a hope. I don't know if it will
Okay.
or it won't.
So
It's
here's
only a
my
hope.
other I guess pushback in a sense as well. For the people that don't believe me in the comment section, I've said it before, I'm gonna say it again. I have went to therapy. Now you could elaborate on this. I don't know if like therapists automatically kind of diagnose certain things in their brain or whatever, or they gotta tell you they're gonna diagnose you for it. I went to therapy for like from last year, September, all the way to January. I don't know in the span of that, was my therapist supposed to be like, you're a narcissist if she's seen it, or she only could tell me that if I ask her to diagnose me? But yeah.
What's the question?
Oh, all right, my bad. So I was like, all right, I my question is, yeah, like, is a therapist going to diagnose you on their own, or you have to ask for a diagnosis? Like, for example, am I a narcissist? And then they're gonna be like, well, we got to go through these proper, procedures to let you know about that.
Well, every therapist have their own style, but yes, a therapist is supposed to tell you what they believe is the diagnosis. You can come to therapy. Everybody goes to therapy for a reason. So you'll come to therapy and maybe say, I'm dealing with this. I feel this way. I don't know. I'm having nightmares about this, whatever that might be. And as the therapist is working with you doing, I don't know, maybe their intake with you and they're figuring out what are your symptoms, then they can tell you like, hey, I think you're suffering from this, or I think that this might be what it is. You should have the open conversation with the therapist, especially if you're using your insurance, they're billing for a diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis. They are.
So that's why just to clarify. So unless you ask for it, are they going to give it to you or no?
Every therapist have their own style.
Oh.
I tell my clients what I believe is their issue, and I ask them, do they agree that they think that they might suffer from this? If they don't know exactly what the diagnosis is, I explain the symptoms. Like, this is the criteria. Do you feel like you meet this? Because believe me, I don't live your life, right? I meet with you for an hour once a week, maybe twice a week or bi-weekly. I don't know what you're going through. I only know what you're telling me. Mm-hmm. So I would like to know if what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, does this align with what you're suffering from? I like to be transparent with my clients.
Yeah, because in my personal experience of going to therapy, this is why I just have so much things to say, because according to the internet, I'm the most toxic individual in the world. But that's why I always try to explain.
World?
And
Wow.
I swear to you. And then it's funny to me because I remember responding to somebody's comment, and they was like, you need to go to therapy. And I said, no, I went to therapy, but you are upset because I am not the image of what therapy is portrayed to the public. Because I think in people's brains, they think you go to therapy, say, I don't know, you're a bad guy. You go to therapy and you're supposed to come out a good guy. People don't believe that you could go to therapy a bad guy and may just come out a bad guy still. So once again, you're the licensed therapist here. You can elaborate on that, but I just want to.
Why are we titling ourselves as bad guys and good guys? You don't have to go to therapy as a bad guy. You could go to therapy as an individual who has troubling experiences. Why are we using these labels?
I agree.
You separate. The most healthiest form is to separate yourself from the behavior. So you're an individual and this is the behavior. Think about it as a child. You don't tell the child, oh, you're bad, but your behavior is not something that I admire. We want to work better, but I still love you. It's separating the individual from the behavior. Mm-hmm. So you can go to therapy for whatever might be what you're suffering from. That doesn't make you bad, good, or anything. You just now have gained skills or tools that you can better work through situations. So let me clarify this. If people think that you go to therapy and you're going to come out with a whole different identity, that's not how that works. We don't just fix people.
Talk about it.
But also, I think it's important that people understand, because in my opinion, this is my opinion, I believe that a lot of people, when they go to some people, when they go to therapy, I don't believe they're fully transparent with their therapist. So how could the therapist diagnose you if they need to diagnose you if you're not fully transparent?
That's very true. And you're doing yourself a disservice if you're going to therapy and not being fully transparent. Now, a good therapist, a seasoned therapist, they know. They could call bullshit right there. Mm-hmm. Like, this is bullshit. Like, I'll tell my clients, like, this is bullshit. But if you want to waste your time, that's cool. I don't believe in, oh, you're paying me for the hour, so I'm gonna sit here.
I like therapists that are real. I like therapists that tell me straight up.
I don't have time for that. Because although I'm getting paid, but I'm wasting time. Mm-hmm. And like I said, that's not my purpose here. My purpose is to heal. So if you're not ready to be healed or begin on your healing journey, then I'm not the therapist for you. Because what we're not going to do is sit here and just waste time. Mm-hmm. You know you're bullshitting. You know there's more to what's going on. It's okay if you say, hey, I'm not ready to talk about that. That's okay. Mm-hmm. I have my special ways of getting to what the issues are. But if you're not going to be transparent, you're not ready to do the work. That's another thing. Just because somebody tells you to go to therapy don't mean that it's your time. You have to be ready to do the work. Mm-hmm. Working on yourself is emotionally exhausting. It's a lot of work to apply, to use the tools, to then work on it, to catch yourself when these things are happening. Whoever's in your environment, they might be triggering to you. Yep. Yes. And I like to use that big T very lightly. But all these different things that you go, it's a lot of work. So if you're not ready to do the work, I don't recommend just jumping into therapy. You might not have a good experience and you might feel like, yeah, I'm never doing this again because you wasn't ready.
So it's not cool. Now that you said that, now you made me realize sometimes I get frustrated with the process. But now it makes sense with all that you just said, why I get frustrated at times.
Yes, that's good. Getting frustrated with the process is very healthy because that means that you are being challenged to fix things and to work on things and hold yourself accountable. You have to be brutally honest with yourself when you're working on yourself. That's how this works. So it's frustrating. You think you're just going to walk down and be like...
My forehead starts to hurt.
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
A lot of thinking.
Right here. It be on fire. I be losing my mind. But, okay. At least I know I ain't...
So, back to the conversation. That's why in terms of even then, I want to elaborate on that. The tools, right? Because my thing is, when it comes to the tools, right? I'm going to go back to the, the first the first example I gave, the whole disrespect thing. There's certain things I do in life. I don't think it's not a right or wrong thing. I just do it because I know the consequences that come with it, right? Like, for example, for you to say like somebody disrespects you, you might punch them in their face. It could be emotionally immature / like then what's the word? Like that wasn't the proper way to handle it, right? And if someone goes to therapy, they might learn that, all right, well, in this situation, maybe if somebody disrespects you, you go this route, right? But my thing is when it comes to using the tools, I feel like no matter how much tools you give somebody, depending on the circumstances you put me in, I'm just going to resort back to what I know in a sense. Am I wrong for that?
Yes. Because you know better. You actively know better. So now you're choosing to do bad. That's stupid.
Because I say it all the time too. Like for me, for example, right? I don't put my hands on people, right? But I don't put my hands on people because I think it's wrong. I don't put my hands on people because I don't want to get arrested and I don't want to catch a charge. Because if this was a free world where there was no laws, I absolutely put my hands on people for the way they be talking at least. Or the type of disrespect people just think they can say out loud and think there's no consequences that come with it.
But why do you accept that?
Which portion?
Why do you accept the disrespect that people are saying?
I don't.
You are if you want to put your hands on them because it slighted you. You received that. What about practicing when somebody says something that you don't really care for? Yeah, I don't receive that. That has nothing to do with you for real. That has everything to do with their opinion, how they feel, and what's going on with them. Why do you choose to receive that? Where now they have that much control that they can get you out of character where now you're physically hitting someone.
Because I just believe, this is my opinion, all right? You're not going to once you direct energy at me or direct things at me, and it's towards me, that means you saying it to me, I could take it as disrespect. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't direct it at me.
You received it.
Exactly.
So you're a magnet. Go ahead and be a magnet.
I will be a magnet.
Okay. That's toxic, but go ahead.
But how is
that
a
big one?
How is that being toxic?
That's toxic.
I guess agree to disagree. I can't, my brain can't warp around the fact that if somebody disrespects you, and like I said, it doesn't have to necessarily be hitting. Whatever way that person decides to handle that disrespect, some people gonna look at it like, oh, you was immature about it, or you wasn't mature about it. That's it. That's I just can't understand.
But this is why I be trying to explain to you, right? Like, I had anger management. I'm a nut. Like, I know I'm off mentally, right? I don't know how to regulate myself all the way there. So what I tend to do, I count from 10. 10, 9, 8,
Oh,
7,
oh yeah, that was another
I did it on an episode, literally, in real time on an episode. 10, 9, 8. Because you have to count. Because if you don't count, I'm going to act insane. You just got to learn the levels. Like, you got to learn how to just, not let that person get you out of character.
So that's another thing, actually, I said that to her. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, right? I said there's a wheel of emotions, right? You're angry, mad, happy, sad, whatever the case is, right? Another thing with emotional maturity, they say you don't know how to regulate your emotions. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Regulate means like you're choosing which emotion you want to be in, right? So to say someone's emotionally immature because, somebody got you out of character, you're not regulating your emotions. How? So by me choosing the emotion of being calm, that means I regulated my emotions. Once again, with what I said earlier. But if I chose the route of being mad, I didn't regulate my emotions because I chose to be mad, and therefore I'm emotionally immature.
But I did listen before you say something. I did respond to him and say to him, "It's nothing wrong with being mad or feeling mad. It's what you do with the feeling that matters."
That's correct. Also, how about we be a little gentle with ourselves? Give yourself some grace. Nobody's perfect. Like, I can't say as a human being and as a licensed therapist that I don't get pissed off sometimes. That doesn't mean every time I get pissed off that I'm gonna respond in a way that's unhealthy or that causes chaos. Sometimes I do, and I gotta walk away before it go all the way left because I'm human. So you gotta give yourself grace as well. That's a tool. It's okay to be like, you know what? You just pissed me the fuck off. Let me go take a walk. Or, stop talking to me because I'm getting mad. There's nothing wrong with speaking on your emotion. That doesn't mean that you gotta break things, you gotta hit somebody, kill somebody, and that's what I mean. So no, if you get upset, that doesn't mean that you're emotionally immature or you're not regulating your emotions. You're human. You're human.
What frustrated me in that episode is because I literally said that to him.
No, you did not. Stop saying that.
I can show you after.
I literally said to him, the JD's in the building.
There is nothing wrong
Shout out JD,
with you being upset. What you do with because I gave an example of the reason why I felt that he was emotionally mature, and the example I gave was that if somebody says something to him, his immediate thing is to say, "You're getting me mad," and then he follows through with being upset and acting aggressive and having he gets loud, he starts acting aggressive. That's what I said. I didn't say there's anything wrong with him being mad. What I said was the energy he starts to throw at people once he's upset is the issue.
Let me ask you a question. And this,
That's literally what I said.
However long you've been sitting on this couch, would you agree that I talk loud? Just a quick little yes or no.
I guess.
All right. So my thing is, on that episode, I literally said to her, she's like, you're talking aggressive. Why? I know. She talks to me off the pod and on the pod. I just talk loud in general. Same way I move my hands like this. So on the pod, I'm literally doing exactly what I'm doing right now. She's like, you're coming at me aggressively. I talk like this 24/7.
But is it based off the context of what was being conversed about?
Possibly. And that's why I feel like in that predicament, and she's over there telling me you're being aggressive. I'm not being aggressive. Then I say it verbatim to you. I said, I'm not upset right now. I'm just speaking, and I'm getting louder because you low-key keep cutting me off while I'm trying to explain to you while I'm not getting... So yeah, I'm raising the octave, but I'm telling you, I'm not mad. I'm just trying to get my point across, and you keep cutting me off. So that was it.
Then I told him he was gaslighting me, which I know is a huge buzzword. And the reason I said he was gaslighting me, and I know you're going to come at me for the TikTok word, but the reason I felt like he was gaslighting me is because he literally was in real time throwing this anger towards me. And I'm like, yo, you're being aggressive. You're acting aggressive. And he's literally, I'm not mad. I'm not mad.
You literally cut me off 40 times, and I'm trying to get my point across, and therefore I'm getting...
I feel it in my chest. I feel what you're throwing at me. And I literally said to him, I'm feeling it. Don't tell me what I don't feel. I'm feeling it from you. Relax.
And I said, I hate that you feel that way.
Oh.
That's why I started counting from 10.
That's a good tool to de-escalate. That's a good tool.
But then she counted from 10 and started calling me out my name after
No,
the fact.
I said
so
he's
did
acting
it really
like
work?
a wild banshee, and I'm not going to come down to his level and act like a wild banshee.
So did that... I'm saying this would have come back down to the tools. Did the tools really work? She counted down to 10.
He was antagonizing me and
I didn't call out her name the entire episode.
He was antagonizing me.
Remember I said giving grace?
He was antagonizing me.
And this is a girl that actively goes to therapy, by the way. Just want to point that out.
So she utilized her skills. She counted down.
So let's say this for the pod. So for the guy that doesn't go to therapy, didn't call the girl out her name, didn't get out of character, but the girl that actively goes to therapy counted down just so she can end that countdown with getting out of character and calling people out of their names.
But what you're missing right there, for the guy who doesn't go to therapy, you had control of the conversation. That's the whole point. That doesn't mean that she's not actively working on herself, and she tried to utilize her tools. What she didn't do is change her environment. She didn't create a safe space for herself. She probably would have been completely successful with her de-escalation had she did that. So, like I said, let's give grace, right? We can say, girl, you shouldn't have called him a wild banshee, right? We can say that. Absolutely. No name calling. But in the same token, did she utilize tools? You said, we go to therapy as bad guys, and people believe that when you come out, you're going to be a good guy. This is a perfect example of someone who's going to therapy, working on how to de-escalate, how not to crash out, right? And then while in the moment, you're being triggered, you're being antagonized, you're trying to work on it, you're trying to de-escalate, but you wasn't 100% successful. That's okay. Sometimes showing up, sometimes you show up and 100% is successful. Some days you give 25%, and that's all you got. That's your best. Some days you got 75. That's okay. That's okay. As long as you're taking accountability for your actions, that's what's most important. You can't just be walking around and be like, well, I don't care. You're a wild animal. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. And I'm just going and going and going. I'm not taking no accountability. That's wrong.
I did take accountability in the moment, and I said I was being, what did I say? I said I was being, JD, throw it in there. What the word I used? You said it. You said I was doing something. Yeah, I said I was being passive aggressive. I said I was being something else, but I forgot the word.
But that's good.
I was aware. I was self-aware of what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. Absolutely.
Like I said, well, when people see this episode, it probably will be like 2 weeks apart from one another. So, yeah, I just want people to, that episode just stuck out to me a lot because according to our conversation, they love frying me. They think I'm the mostly immature guy. But that episode clearly displayed to me, especially when it comes to the talking over people. Because I ain't gonna lie, love you to death. She cut you off so much, and not even funny.
They both do it. They both do it. They both do it.
She ain't doing it right now. So that's what I'm saying. So,
but they both do this.
Yep. You see what I mean?
They beat them against me all the time.
So
that's why because
it's happening right now in real time.
No, because I feel like they gang up on me is why I feel like I have to be heard because you're not listening to me. I be yelling. I be oh my god, let me talk.
The 50 episodes, I've only been here for about 9, so I don't even want to hear that.
So I start talking. I start getting my point across. The next thing you know, it's cut off, and that's all right. And I say it like 3 times. I'm like, all right, you cut me off. So now, hypothetically speaking, if I am starting to get a little more amped, because I'm like, yo, bro, now I keep trying to talk and you keep cutting me off, and now you're like, why are you getting mad? No, I explained to you why I'm getting mad, and then you just want to low-key ignore it, like you're not cutting me off over and over again.
We cut each other off. He doesn't take accountability for his end. We both cut each other off just as much. It's literally a back and forth.
I don't believe it's a back and forth. I believe I'm mindful of it because as a guy that actually edits the clips, I make sure I don't cut people off so that way it makes the clips a little cleaner. I try not to cut you off unless we're obviously in a very heated debate. You cut people off just normally. Like that's just your thing. Like mid-sentence, but you just hop in. Like
Pat
I've noticed in interactions with him, I feel like I take more accountability than he does. And a lot of the time, that's why I get frustrated with him. Because I can say all the time, I'm wrong, I did this, I did that. But he never ever could say sorry, apologize, take accountability.
That's not good.
It's always me. It's always on me.
I hold myself very accountable. That the problem is, it be you because it be you.
Just now, you didn't take accountability for the fact that we cut each other off equally.
We didn't cut each other off equally. I was literally starting to talk and you cut me off. You see what I mean?
In general.
I'm not talking about in general. I don't agree because we don't do that. It's on camera. We have episodes for a reason. You could go back, check the game tapes. Like, I'll be talking, even in the clip that everyone said it. I'm like, you actually watch the full episode? But she stops for a second, so I thought that was my window to start talking. But like, literally, it took like a millisecond and she started talking again. So that's when I was like, don't cut me off, let me finish. But the way the clip was set up, everyone's like, oh my God, how's he gonna tell her let me finish when he cut her off? I'm like, no. She paused in her sentence, I inserted myself, and then she started talking while I started talking.
People in the comments literally called him out for cutting me off same way.
But that's what I'm saying, because it was the way I clipped it up. But if you watch the full episode, you literally say XYZ.
Now it's how you clip it. You clipped it up, though.
I did clip it up like that, but I'm just saying, once again, I'm not saying I'm wrong for that. I'm saying if you watch the full episode, I didn't cut you off. You said your piece. You left a very millisecond spot. I inserted myself. The minute I got 3 words off, you hopped right in and just cut me off. And that's why I had to say, within that same frame, let me finish, blah, 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 because you cut me off. It's in the game tapes.
Can we go to the next topic?
Please.
Just let you know. Is love bombing a real thing? That's what I want to get to right now.
Let's go down the list. Because we ain't done with the narcissism.
You have a bunch of narcissism questions. You want to get... All right, go ahead. Go get your narcissism shit off.
Does narcissism show up more in females or males?
Males.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
Let's get this off too, because she said this off mic. These are for the people that go and actually get themselves checked. Just put that out there.
Are there red flags you could look out for, even though we are not able to diagnose people with narcissistic personality disorder? Are there red flags while dating that women or men could look out for to say, okay, this is a toxic person? Because I mean, not necessarily narcissist, because that's what I was originally going to say.
Yes. There's always red flags. Always. But are you talking about red flags for a narcissist?
Yeah.
Yeah. My recommendation would be definitely when you find someone who's super charming, red flag. A narcissist is going to be very charming. Very, very, very charming. Mm-hmm. And then they start, if you, like just the qualities of them. So with the love bombing, mm-hmm. They treat you a certain way. It's honeymoon phase. It's so amazing. Everything is great. Mm-hmm. And then they slowly start to break you down. Things are your fault all the time. Yeah, those are red flags. Those are things that you shouldn't stay around to try to, a lot of people, I don't want to say women, but because men do it too, a lot of people in relationships think that they can change the mind of the other person. They think that if they stick it through, that they can make the other person change. That's not how that works. Mm-hmm. People need to start practicing and normalizing, believing people for who they are. When a person show you who they are, believe them for who they are.
That's a fact.
So those are yellow flags that you want to stay away from. When something is always about the individual, mm-hmm. stay away from them. Mm-hmm. Because how could you love on me if everything is about you? That doesn't work. If it's mm-hmm. not equal in some way, shape, or form, then you should stay away from them. Yes, you cannot diagnose a narcissist, a mm-hmm. person, if you don't have the privilege, the diagnostic privilege, if you don't specialize in it. Like, mm-hmm. You can't. But there are things that you can stay away from. And that's just, period, in any relationship. You don't want to be with someone who only cares about themselves, mm-hmm. who only use you or exploit you for the benefits of themselves. And yes, narcissism, it goes to the extreme. A narcissist goes to the extreme. So by then, it's kind of difficult to get out of it. You're already in the whirlwind. You already done been set up. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. You can't just walk away.
So in that case, do you think a person... Because earlier him and I spoke, and I said to him, I believe that people that tend... Because I do believe at a point in my life, I did date a narcissist or survived a narcissist, right? But I feel like that moment in my life, I was in a low place where I didn't value myself. So I stayed in that situation longer than I needed to be. So I feel like when a person dates a person that's a narcissist and stays with it, I feel like it has to do with self-worth. Now, is that true or?
To a certain extent, absolutely. Yeah, because narcissists prey on who they know they can prey on. Some people, a narcissist can't date another narcissist. That's not how that works. It's impossible. How would it benefit one if the other person is exploiting one to get what they need? So they prey on the weak. That's how that works. So, yeah, it takes a certain type of person to deal with certain things. And this is why I'm saying if we're looking for, let's look for yellow flags. I recommend not looking for red flags. Red flags is already too late.
That makes sense.
Yellow flags. Look for the yellow flag. What's a yellow flag? A yellow flag is a warning sign. For example, something that could be fixed.
Slow down.
Something that could be worked on. Not something that this is dangerous, go that way, run. That's a red flag, right? Let's pay attention to the yellow flags because they exist. So, yes, it does take a certain type of person to be with a narcissist. And, yeah, you would be more of a weak-minded person, someone who is very, more than likely, impressionable. You're a people pleaser. People pleasers always get caught up.
Okay. Anything you want to add?
I ain't got nothing to say. I will say to that thing though, because when I went to therapy for my last relationship, right? And actually got recommended to go to my therapist because of my ex-girlfriend. So when I went to my therapist, I gave the real. I don't sugarcoat nothing as much as TikTok hates to believe it. I've been like that with the bros. I'm like, yo, if I'm going something with my shorty, shorty that so I said and I always finish off with, am I bugging? So I kind of treat my therapist the same way. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yo, she said X, Y, and Z to me. I did X, Y, and Z because just give the whole synopsis of the situation. And that's why even going to therapy, it started revealing to me that I was with a gaslighting narcissist. And my therapist literally said that. She said, no, I told her these exact words that I was like, yo, my girlfriend at the time is calling me X, Y, and Z. Am I these things? I asked her that at a point in time. And she's like, no, based on what you're telling me, the information that you've provided, on this story or whatever the cases would be, she's like, no, she's absolutely doing that to you in every fashion of the word. So I'm like, that is crazy. That is super crazy to me. But it was funny to me also too, because once again, accountability. When I started telling my girl at the time that I was like, no, you are all these things based on what I told my therapist. And she was like, this is why I don't want you to go to therapy no more. You know what? You shouldn't go to therapy because you're not telling her the whole truth. I'm like, no, I'm telling her everything but the truth, so help me God. And it's like she was so upset that she heard, like, I guess opposite. Because I think when she told me to go to therapy, she expected them to tell me off about myself. So when I gave them the whole, obviously, the synopsis of what's going on, she was completely tight that, like, yeah, it was low-key went opposite of what she expected. And that was another reason why, once again, it comes to therapy, for someone that was advocating for therapy so much, y'all be advocating for therapy because people try to weaponize therapy.
They do.
They be trying to. They want a certain outcome. I also
have learned, in my opinion, I believe that. I'm gonna just say this clear as I feel. Let's say you were a narcissist, right, and you went to your therapist and said whatever, a narcissist is never gonna tell the truth. A narcissist is gonna say all those things, and I feel like your therapist. How is your therapist gonna diagnose the other person if they didn't have the other person in their room? Like, how could your therapist have said that to you? Oh, she's all of those things if she never met the person. That's what she said based on what solely off of what you said, but you could have been painting the picture. So that she could say that to justify whatever you were doing.
You can say that all you want. I'm saying right now.
I see both sides.
I keep it a stack. I have no reason to lie to my therapist. Especially me. I'm a cheap guy. If I gotta pay for it, I'm definitely gonna keep it a band.
Yeah.
If I gotta pay for it, I'm definitely gonna get it. Like she said earlier, I ain't wasting my money coming here.
I mean, in my opinion, I just feel like a therapist could only deal with who's in their room. Who's in that room talking to them.
To add extra context, once again, and you knew the girl. My ex.
No, she was a nut. She was a nut.
She went to therapy on her own, and because her therapist was not telling her what she wanted to hear, she stopped going to that therapist and she decided to find another one. See? So it kind of let me know everything I needed to know. Let me know everything I needed to know.
But that's why I'm saying, like, it's emotionally exhausting. She didn't want to hear what the feedback was, so she went to someone who's probably going to please her and validate what her experience is.
You feel me?
I like therapists that tell me the truth. I don't want to be. I feel like I can only be helped if you tell me what I'm doing wrong. Well, that's and how a fact. To fix it.
How am I going to grow if you're not telling me what is the problem?
That's true. Because if I want a yes man, I could just go to a yes man in my life.
Go to your
in
friends.
My group. Yeah.
That part.
Earlier, you want to ask your question about what women say? Remember you were saying something earlier about that?
Oh, I mean, yeah. Poncho brought it up. Shout out Poncho. So, he said it, and I said it to her earlier. And it was just so funny that we both said it. And we had no conversation about this today. But this is going to be the topic of right now. Why do people place narcissism / gaslighting on people after they break up.
What is gaslighting?
Define that for us, sister. I don't know what it is.
My thought of it is that when I think of gaslighting, I think of a person. For example, let's say me and a person is in a room together, and I see my partner go in the fridge and grab a bottle of water and start drinking it, and I'm like, "You grabbed it," and I go in the fridge next, and I'm like, "You drink my water?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "You're drinking a bottle of water though. You got this from the store." Like, you literally seen the person do something, and you seen it with your real eyes, and they're telling you that it's all a delusion. I don't know. It's all an illusion. You didn't see me drink the water. I don't know what you're talking about. This is all made up, and they have you thinking you're crazy, having you like not trust your own self and what you're seeing in front of you.
That's gaslighting.
Okay.
That is gaslighting. So, your question is, I just wanted to make sure everybody understood what gaslighting is, because from my understanding, TikTok make y'all believe gaslighting is only, I done heard people use the term and I'm like, that's not what that means. Mm-hmm. So, yes, when someone makes you feel like your emotions are invalid, your experience is not real. Mm-hmm. That's gaslighting. So, your question is, why after people break up, women break up with men, they feel like
I feel like it goes both ways.
Okay, both ways. That they feel like they were gaslighted and they were dating a narcissist.
Yes.
I don't know why people do that. I know that a lot of people that I have encountered, I can only talk about my experience or what I hear. A lot of people do say that, like, I was with a narcissist because they feel like at the end, depending on how the relationship ended, if it ended and the person, I don't know, the whole time they was talking to a girl, and now you fixated on this girl as a woman. You fixated on this girl, like, why you always talking to her? Why you always, and they like, what are you talking about? You worried about her? You should be worried about Sally and whoever else, blah, 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 blah. When the relationship is over, you and that same girl is back together. A lot of that happens. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of women will go, or a lot of men will be like, the whole time you telling me I'm bugging in a relationship, but you really ended up with this person. You gaslighted me. Mm-hmm. You're a narcissist. You only cared about yourself. You made me believe that I wasn't this. Or they may have sacrificed so much in this relationship. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, you isolated me from my friends. I did this for you, and you didn't like me wearing this, so I stopped wearing this to please you. All these things that we sacrifice in the relationship. So when the relationship is over, we like to go, yeah, he was a narcissist. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I'm a person that I believe, I don't know obviously if it was true or not, but I do believe I dealt with a person or I survived narcissistic abuse. The only reason why I feel so strongly regarding that in that relationship is because the reason I even understood what narcissist was, because when I was dating a person, I felt like I was being like tore down, but I didn't know like how to word it or what to put it on. So one day I would just Google, everybody goes on Google. I'm on Google and what does it mean when a person does this? What does it mean when a person do that? And eventually I got to the word narcissist. So when I seen narcissist and I started to read out little things, I ended up literally doing a test like online. Like, am I dating a narcissist? I did like 5 of them, literally 5 tests back to back. And it was like, alarm, you might be dating a narcissist. Like, that's just how I felt. And the person was literally, I don't know if maybe I was just highlighting it because I looked into it and then the person did stuff and I just started to attach it to it. But I strongly believe that person was that. Not because of like an example you gave, which is like, oh, he was talking to a girl and then talked to her after. But just because I literally started to like I literally started writing notes to myself. I had a little book, write notes to myself. Like, on this day, this happened. On this day, this happened. And eventually the book was full. And I was like, yeah, I'm dealing with something.
And that right there is so much evidence. You could go back and you could look at the traits and the things, the situations that you was in and what you was dealing with to see.
I literally recorded videos too of the person.
Wow.
I was like, because a little bit of a background, people in the comments, y'all could learn about me a little bit. I was in an abusive relationship for 7 years with my kid's father. So I already dealt with abuse, but it was physical, emotional, and it was verbal. So I only knew and linked abuse with like when a person hits you. When I was dating that person, he didn't assault me till the very end, but it was like emotional, verbal. Now looking back, emotional, verbal. So I didn't connect the dots. But after I learned like, oh, there's different levels to abuse. I think a lot of people have the misconception that abuse is only physical.
No.
But I learned after the fact, like, I was being torn down in so many different ways first before it got physical.
Yeah.
So that's when I was able to connect it.
That's usually how it goes, too.
Okay.
That's usually how it goes. Abuse is way more than physical, guys. Watching. It could be emotional, mental, physical, neglect. It could be spiritual. Like, abuse is way more than
depth.
just...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I said on episode 3, and I'll say it again, because a lot of our fans don't go that far back. I said it. I was like, yo, out of all the forms of abuse, I said emotional abuse is the worst abuse.
It is.
In my opinion,
I
because
would
agree.
physical abuse at the end of the day, somebody could punch you in your face, do whatever to you. Bruises heal in, I don't know, say a week, or cut can heal in a week. Emotional abuse is something that low-key don't go away.
You still think about it.
It just sits on you forever, and you just gotta go to somebody, seek help to learn how to live with it.
It's an internal scar. It is, and it's very, very, very hard to work through because you can't see it. It's something that you can mask too. You can walk around every day and nobody know that you're being emotionally abused. So it's a very dangerous thing.
That's what I'm saying. But just to double back on what you said, this is why I, for a fact, now know I dated a narcissist. For a fact, know I dated a narcissist.
Listen, I think I dated a sociopath, if you ask me.
By definition, literally verbatim of what you said was my exact situation.
But I do think that people are overusing the word.
They
narcissist.
are overusing the
word. And it annoys me because I'm like, you can't just put that on somebody because of one little action in the relationship. Correct. Like, the reason why I even came to that is because I was deep diving in it. Like, really, not to say that but at least come up with some evidence to go with what you think. Don't just say, you're a narcissist because the person don't agree with you.
Correct.
You got to have something to go along with it.
Correct.
But I will say this, is a conversation that we had off mic over there. Or maybe it's not that we're overusing it. Maybe society literally is just creating more narcissists / gaslighters. We have social media now. We live in a completely different time. So maybe we're literally just creating these quote unquote people out there.
And everyone's
not going to therapy.
I think
so
that
therefore
there are just maybe more narcissists out there than we think.
You see how you did it again? Dang, bro. Like, my point is, I'm like, I feel like maybe society is just creating more narcissists and gaslighters, and because most people are not going to therapy, that's why a bunch of people are walking around undiagnosed. So maybe it's not people just throwing the word around so much. It's maybe that, like we always talk about, maybe people are recognizing it in other people's, or the traits, quote unquote.
He repeated the same thing 3 different times.
But how are these people getting out of these relationships if they're dealing with narcissists? And that's why I would agree that we are just overusing this term, because you don't just walk away from a narcissist. That's not really how that works.
Trust me, believe me.
You don't, and a narcissist is not just gonna let you go. Neither.
No, trust me, I know.
So maybe it is being overused.
I mean, I agree. That was just one of my points that I want to just offer the other side of how people might think of it. Because like I said, we have TikTok, social media, people are getting miscellaneous information from unsighted sources, and therefore they're just attributing certain behaviors to these things.
Fair.
So that's why I'm like, that could possibly be a reason why it's all this, new vernacular.
Well,
being used so much.
if that's the case from now on, I won't call people narcissists. I'll just say they're toxic.
You can just say that they have toxic
Timestamp it. What is this? 9:46 p.m. on November 24th. I'm
I believe that my
time
co-host has toxic traits. I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She believes you have toxic traits.
You're entitled to feel that way. As long as I don't hear the narcissist word come out your mouth
I
again,
do believe he's a
narcissist
personality disorder, but I'm not able to diagnose him. Maybe you can at the end of this.
Why do you believe that he's toxic?
Due to me having I believe he has the traits of a narcissist. And why I believe that is because of my interactions with him and the certain conversations we have and how he responds. That's why I feel that way.
So it is. I take accountability.
And his lack of empathy.
I take accountability for how I respond to most things, because at the end of the day, and this is what I told the two in the episode, in regards to emotional maturity, just one more time, I'll admit I am emotionally immature. To what I said on the episode, if standing on business and my definition of standing on business means I'm emotionally immature, then by all means, I'll be the definition of the word. I just know that I set the standards with certain people. Not even certain people, all people. This is what I tolerate as respect. Disrespect is what you can say to me, not say to me. And if you decide to go left, I believe in an offer and I'll leave it at that.
Wow, so you're a puppet.
I could be a puppet, doll, play with my strings. Watch how you talk to me. Watch how you talk to me. All right? Watch how you talk to me. And that's it.
Very interesting.
You feel me? But what's the crazy part? I don't really get out of character a lot. It takes a lot for me to get out of character. That's another reason why I personally feel like if I do gotta go there, I'm really going there. I say it all the time. I've not been in a physical fight in my entire adult life yet, because I feel like I'm at a space now being just physically stronger than I was when I was younger, and where I am mentally. If I have to physically put hands on somebody right now, I am at that point where we spoke about earlier. I might have to really hurt you. So therefore, I don't do certain things.
But what situation would cause you to have to physically put hands on someone in your adult life?
That I don't know. I would have to be in it to, be aware of it. I've done pretty good. I'm 27 years old, and through my whole adult life, I haven't had to do it yet. So
You shouldn't have to in your adult life. You're an adult. That's like child's play. Like, why are you fighting?
I agree.
So nothing should make you want to put hands on
All
anyone. No one should have that kind of power over you because you are an adult.
Yeah. Like, I give the example of...
Or have you not arrived there yet?
I have a question. What do you, now that the people use the word crashing out now, right? What do you consider as crashing out?
Going crazy. Like really losing it.
Yeah, what the comments tell you start screaming, you're crashing out.
When you start screaming?
Yeah, people consider screaming crashing out.
See, yeah. Nowadays, you see what I'm saying with
it's
the
just-
words, like...
I'm telling you, anything that is not being calm, cool, collected, you're crashing out, you're emotionally immature, and blah, blah, blah.
I mean, in general, I just don't like aggression at all. And the reason why I don't like aggression directed at me is because I'm still learning how to process my trigger. I go into anger management, right? I did some crazy things in my life. So I know my level. So when a person, I let people know ahead of time, people in my life, I don't like aggression. Please don't direct aggression at me. Because after a while, I'll be ready to step over that line and get crazy. You know? I'm still learning how to process the levels.
But that's good. At least you know that you don't like it. I don't like aggression either.
I don't like aggression at all.
So, but I remember saying her at a point in time, I said, so do you recognize that you may say certain things or do certain things that can invoke aggression from the person that you are speaking to? And I don't remember her answer at the time. She can answer it again right now.
I said that, I probably said, I mean, I'll respond to it now. I don't remember what I said then, but all I'll say to you now is, I, in general, try my best to tiptoe. Because I've been in abusive relationships and situations, I tiptoe a lot around certain things so I don't invoke that aggression from a man because I'm afraid of a man attacking me. So a lot of the times I am very careful on how I talk. So if even in being careful, a man gets aggressive, that's what makes me nervous, where I feel like I have to.
But it sounds like you shouldn't be in a relationship yet. Like, why would you be in a relationship and tiptoeing?
I just don't tiptoeing, as in I just don't talk aggressive to men. I don't talk aggressive to men.
You should.
My father taught. I'm going off what my dad taught me, that you not to be combative. He taught me not to yell at a man. Like, don't act aggressive towards a man. Just be calm and cool. Talk respectful. So that's what I tend to do in general with people, but with men especially. I just am careful on how I speak to people.
Has it worked?
I mean, so yeah.
So in your last relationship that you said you was in for 7 years, did it work?
In that relationship?
Yeah. You said that's what your father taught you.
I was going toe to toe with him, and that's when.
So you
the
didn't
fights was
utilize
happening.
that.
I didn't utilize it then.
Okay.
It's now that in my adult life today, in my recent the relationships I've had before, like recently, I don't be. There was no. He didn't. The person didn't get aggressive. I didn't get aggressive. Put it that way. I didn't go to 10. The person didn't go to 10. I just stayed. We just had conversations. It may have got heated here and there. You have emotions, but it never got to the point where me and the person is like having a yelling match, one like back and forth. That's what I mean.
Because I will say this, and this might divert our topic, but my thing about women, the women versus men wars, right? Obviously, women know that they're not physically capable 9 times out of 10 to handle a man, but women, especially your girl / your wife, they know how to say certain things to a man that gonna strike that nerve. Because it's probably a deep-rooted thing between me and you. So as a woman, you know what you can say to probably trigger your man. And when that man gets upset, you can say it in the most calmest voice. And that's when that toxic shit really starts showing. Because they be like, oh, why are you getting out of character with me? I don't care how calmly you said it. You saying that statement is going to get this reaction out of me. So why you said it?
That's fair.
But I don't talk like that.
Feel me? I ain't say you did. I just want to give that.
Me myself, I don't know how to regulate
provoking a
Yeah,
person.
like I don't know, because I know that I don't like aggression. I don't throw aggression at a person because I feel like it's unfair. Like I can't say I don't like when a man get aggressive, but then I'm like, ah! It's like, how dare I tell a person they can't do something to me, but I'm doing it to them. So when I say that I tiptoe, it's not that I'm afraid. Like I'm not gonna get in a relationship with a person I feel unsafe with. Let's start there. But I'm gonna try to be respectful to the person so they give me the same energy. I'm not gonna just come out the woodworks and try to like, in my emotions, yell and act crazy. That's basically what I'm saying.
As you should. I agree with that.
You feel me? I agree too. I ain't got no complaints.
We're all on the same page, yeah.
I got no
For once.
complaints.
We all on the same
No, that's it. Like I said, I just tell that to people all the time, right? Like, and probably as I've already stated 1,000 times on this podcast, I am a reactionary guy. So my thing is, when we talk about these words of gaslighting, narcissists, et cetera, my thing be, anything that I've done, I'm always reacting. I'm always on time, and I'm once again, it may not be mature of me, but I match energy. So if you want to, if we gonna be together on 3, let's be together on 3. But if you gonna take it to 10, depending on the day you catch me on, I might stay on 3 or I might take it to 10.
But can I say something? Because you and I have had conversations, and majority of the time, I'm usually at this tone because I'm a person that doesn't like to go with aggression first. Sometimes when I'm at this tone, you still go on 10 with me, and I be like, "Why are you on 10?" And I'm talking regular. I'm confused.
But I do take 10, like I said, I'm a loud talking guy. You know my whole family. My whole family talk like this. My dad is loud as hell.
No, it's not.
My dad and my brother's loud as hell. We all just loud as hell. So
I have no issue with the level of the volume. I have zero issue with his volume. I don't like aggression. When his mannerisms, when you start to go like, and you're yelling at the same time that you moving your hands and you acting a certain kind of way, that's aggression to me. I don't know if maybe I'm tripping and I don't know what aggression is, but that's what I feel is aggression.
And that's why I always
so when you're bucking up and you acting a certain way towards me and I'm not doing that, I'm like, why are you doing that to me?
But you might take it as a threat.
Yes.
Okay, because like if what you just explained, if that was to happen, I would still be sitting here calm.
I do that.
But it bothers you.
Yes.
It doesn't bother me.
It bothers me only because I haven't done it first. Like if I did it, then you could, like if I do something, if I'm going to get aggressive, I understand you're going to get aggressive back. But if I'm not being aggressive at all and you're getting aggressive with me, I'm confused because I'm like, why are you doing that?
But that's a them thing. That got nothing to do with you.
Okay.
They're aggressive for whatever is the reason that they're aggressive. Maybe they're passionate about what was stated or whatever is the response.
Word, right?
That don't got nothing to do with you. As long as they don't cross the line and come over here, keep the aggression over there.
I stated that verbatim. I said, I'm not mad right now. I'm not being aggressive. I'm passionate about what I'm speaking about.
But I just feel like if you're going to, if a person because I'm honest. I tell people ahead of time. If I tell you I don't like certain things, at least try to act like you don't want to do it. It starts, because then I feel like I'm being provoked.
But what if they don't care how you feel?
Well, I mean,
but that's why I keep saying cite sources.
I haven't got all the way there yet, though.
That's why I keep saying That's why I keep saying cite sources, right? So, as per that episode, you're like, I don't like aggression, but you're invoking the aggression because every time I'm trying to speak, you keep cutting me off. That in that point in time, that is what is invoking me getting louder because I'm trying to talk and you keep cutting me off. So when you say, but you're getting aggressive, well, I'm telling you I'm getting aggressive because you keep cutting me off.
I disagree, and I'm only saying I disagree is because I noticed the aggression when I didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. Because I then said, if I would have told you what you wanted to hear, we would have been fine. But because I said something you didn't want to hear, that's when I think the aggression started to pick up.
That's
like, oh, you saying something I don't like? Okay, now that's what I felt.
You said that's what?
An assumption.
I wasn't here, so I don't know what happened.
So I say it's an assumption because at the end of the day, none of us are Professor X. You can't see into the future as to how I would have handled it.
I feel energy. Okay.
This is why this grandiose term, feeling. I am not accountable for your feelings, which might go back into the conversation of empathy.
But hold on, that could low-key be gaslighting. Low-key, you're not accountable for your feeling, but if you're provoking me and then you're acting like how I'm feeling is inadmissible, like you're bugging out. That's you know exactly what you're doing to make me feel this way. And I'm just saying, that's why I said low-key. And then you're telling me that you're not responsible for my feeling, like, that's like somebody going, I'm not touching you. And I'm like, yo, stop. But they like, but why you mad? I'm not touching you.
Yeah.
But that's what I agree. But that's why I said I had to preface this whole conversation with I'm reactionary. The tone would have never got up here if she wasn't keep cutting me off. So don't be like, I don't like aggression when you invoked the aggression. Like
both of y'all just need to go to therapy.
I'm in therapy.
I'm a heavy domino effect guy, bro. I feel like a lot of people. I'm a heavy domino effect guy, right? I believe there's a lot of people in life that never be accountable to be the first domino, right? So if you line up 7 dominoes, just acknowledge that you were the first domino that got knocked down that caused the rest of everything else to happen. I say that to a lot of people. And then when we have conversations like this, like I said, the first domino came when you kept cutting me off. So anything that came after it, acknowledge that you were the first domino that fell. Now, whatever came after that, came after that. But you were the first
He
domino.
justifies every time he does something out of character. He has a justification for it.
Because the out of character...
But it sounds like you're not responsible for your own action because you keep saying, I react. But when do you act?
I'm sorry, you gotta run that back. Or I'll
It's a bar.
Yeah.
It's a bar.
My thing is, all right, because saying accountable for your action, right? I'm accountable for I entirely know how I'm acting in that moment.
But you're choosing violence.
Exactly.
Immature.
And I will be that if that makes me immature.
All right, so then you justifying your negative behavior.
But I'm also saying, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not justifying it. I just want people to acknowledge that where did it come from? I didn't just come out the gate like that. It came from somewhere. Did it not?
You was provoked, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
And you chose violence.
Exactly.
Immature.
I can be that.
Okay.
I just that's all. I listen. I don't disagree with these terms. I just want to know that if that is what that makes me, I will own it. But I'm just saying it comes from somewhere. People make it sound like these people like talking to a person like me. Like I walk around just aggressive and angry and mad, or I'm just on 10. No, you do certain things, especially if we have a personal relationship. Once again, you know what's gonna take me there, so don't do it because you know I'm gonna respond this way. So don't get mad at me when I respond this way. When you know me personally, that if you do certain things, you gonna make me act this way, or it's gonna turn me up this way, depending on the day. Like I said, I don't turn up all the time.
But here's my question: if you know that this person knows you personally, they know what to do to slight you, and they do it, why you gotta entertain it? You know that they know what they're doing. It's like you in the circus. You're choosing to join the circus, literally.
I mean,
because you know
that's fair. Like I said, for the most part, in my adult life, I don't be entertaining the nonsense. But I'm just saying, like some people get outside of their body and get beside themselves, and you know, it got to be taken there. And that's just me personally. I feel like on a percentage level though, I'm 85% valid. I don't be matching people's energy, but that small 15%, yeah, nah, we got to handle it as such. But in your words, give grace, right? I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
No, you're choosing that, though. You're choosing that. You said if you on a 3, I'm going to be on a 3. I match energy. Now you saying 85% of the time you don't match energy.
You know what it is? Because, once again, say it's a personal relationship, right? I'm on a 3 majority of the time. Say, you know, we've had the same exact encounter and I was on 3 all these other times. Clearly, me being on 3 with you is not making you change how I feel about the situation. So now in my brain, I think, all right, all these times I felt like you might have slighted me or done whatever to provoke me, I stayed on 3 with you and you still keep moving the same. So now maybe if I take it to 10, which is i.e., all right, now I got to punch you in your mouth, now you might respect me. And this might come from the way I'm raised. Hear me out. Hear me out. This might come from the way I'm raised. A lot of people stop talking the way they do when they get hit in their mouth. A lot of people from the hood could probably relate. People talk as crazy as they do until they get punched in their face. Never hear them talk like that again. So,
that's the problem. We normalize this. That is so unhealthy. Why not, instead of you was at 3, why go to 10? Why not go to 0?
I don't know what 0 even looked like. I don't even know what 0 even.
My God.
I'm saying.
And an awesome God.
But I'll be honest. I'll be honest with myself, right? I'll be honest.
Okay.
I'm a very accountable guy, I'm telling you. I'm very accountable, man.
She has diagnosed you 900 different times.
Listen,
I'll be mad accountable, man.
Well, then we just go on to the next question. Do you think that everyone learning more about mental health is making it harder to date?
No. That was a good question. No. Why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like that way? Oh, no. Why? What's the basis of the question? Learning about mental health, how does it make it harder to date?
I think it's made it easier for me to pinpoint what I want to deal with and what I don't want to deal with. That's my experience.
I don't think you attribute that to mental health.
I think that's what makes it difficult.
That's why I feel like
people with that mindset.
That's why I feel like we have this in the topic as well. So once again, let's just wrap it all in. Boundaries. I feel like everyone should.
Wait, hold on. I want to answer that question though.
All right, go ahead.
Because I feel like people should be aware of mental health so they can prevent themselves from going through all these different things that's unnecessary had they known what this means, what this behavior means. Mm-hmm. Hey, I don't have the power to change this person. Mm-hmm. Hey, this person said that they don't, I don't know, engage in relationships with more than one person. I want to be monogamous. I'm dating somebody who likes to date more than one person. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're aware that they like to date more than one person, why you think that you're going to make them date one person? I think if you are aware of the mental health, respecting people's boundaries, we can go into boundaries, and respecting what people say, I think we start weaning out and pruning the things that's unnecessary.
Thank you.
We don't have to do this.
I agree.
I feel like mental health is very important when dating. Actually, everybody should check their mental health before they start dating because hurt people hurt people. So if you just got out of a relationship, I'm looking for something serious, but I'm your rebound. Why you didn't clear that up before you even came over here with that? Mm-hmm. Clear that shit up. Get it together. Figure it out. Go to therapy. Talk. Find community. Do whatever you need to do to figure out where you stand before you come over here. I think it's necessary.
It's true.
Snaps and claps. Snaps and claps.
It's definitely true.
Not a crumb left on the plate.
Like for me, like I ain't gonna lie, it's now making my numbers smaller. Right? Like I feel like the way I used to think, and I was so open to anything. I'm not open as much as I used to be.
I
open.
agree. Me too.
I'm way more like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah,
Have a good day.
absolutely not. Yep.
Not doing it.
I got out of a very, very toxic relationship. And after that, instead of immediately dating, I decided I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to heal. I went to therapy, still currently in therapy. Mm-hmm. And I was very intentional with what I was doing. So yes, I started weaning shit out. Nope. Absolutely not. You said what? Yep, that's a negative for me. I will never respond back to you because I don't have time. I knew. Had I just jumped back into the dating field because I'm hurting, then what the hell? I'm aligned with the same thing I attract. I'm going to get the same type of person all over again. They probably just going to look different, but it's going to be the same thing because I never grew. I didn't heal. I didn't elevate. I did not evolve. So you should spend more time working on yourself and the things that hurt you or whatever you went through before you attach to somebody else. Everybody is an assignment.
That made me think of, like, for example, in my therapy session, my therapist, when I talk to her about like things, how I feel about dating and things of that nature, she says to me that you don't give enough grace, right? When it comes on to dating and things like that. When she said that to me, I was a little confused because I feel like me not giving grace has stopped me from getting in more toxic situations because in the past I gave too much grace. Little things that I seen was a yellow flag, red flag. I would just be like, maybe I'm overthinking it. Now, as soon as I see something that makes me uncomfortable or I know it's not good for me, I separate immediately.
This the same therapist you've been having?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a new therapist. I'm not even going to come into this. She need a new therapist. Because no. Like, okay. And what I would say for watchers who do want to know, let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with giving grace, but you don't always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Trust and verify. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing wrong with trusting, but you want to verify that they are who they say they are. They are going to do the things that they said they're going to do. How many letdowns have you had? Are there lies? Trust and verify. Don't just be walking around giving out grace. Mm-hmm. Where's the discernment? Where are you discerning if this person is deserving of the grace that you're giving them? Mm-hmm. No.
She's eating right now. I ain't gonna lie. She going crazy.
That's true.
I gotta come back once more. I've never been that calm.
I could stick with disagree to anything. So I'm okay with continuing to be uncomfortable. Walk away.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't listen to her advice, by the way.
Nah, I'm not
when
saying...
she did say that to me, I'm not gonna lie. I still be on the same timing when it comes on to, as soon as you do something crazy, I walk away.
Because I don't know what's going on with her. But no. Don't just be giving people chances. They have to deserve it. Mm-hmm. And don't fall in love with potential neither.
Absolutely agree with that.
Talk about it.
Absolutely. Because I think love bombing is the main thing with that too. Because love bombing, I feel like a person is giving you in the beginning a representative and then they pull it away from you and then you're, but you were like that in the beginning. What happened? And then you're chasing that forever. So I don't got time for that.
I disagree to that only because I think love bombing is a little weird. I'm a believer of,
But hold on, when we use love bombing, guys, just know that love bombing is not just somebody treating you in the honeymoon phase and then things start to go wrong. That's not love bombing. Okay.
And I'm glad you said that because that was a conversation that we had.
I know what love bombing is.
So I feel like if I don't know, say I'm courting a girl, right? First date, 2 dates, whatever. I'm going to open doors, give flowers. But then obviously we start talking longer, we end up in a relationship, I stop doing these things. Is a girl safe to say that I love bombed her because I started a relationship giving her flowers or maybe the first 2 days giving her flowers and then I stopped?
No. Thank
you. That's all I wanted to know.
However, that's trash that you stopped doing that.
What I said to him was, if a man says, because he says, if a man says, I'm not the type of guy that does those things. Like, that's not my bop. That's not who I am. But you present that to a woman in the beginning, knowing that that's not who you are, I think that's unfair.
That is unfair, but that's still not love bombing.
So what is love bombing then?
Love bombing is a strategy. It's a strategy of selfishness. Mm-hmm. Selfishness. Mm-hmm. You get love bombed when someone has... They are intentionally meaning to isolate you. They are intentionally meaning to break you down. It's a strategy. So it's not, you just don't love bomb and then, oh, I'm not that type of person. No, you love bomb because you need this person to fall in love with you. You need this person to be submissive to you. And you know that you presenting yourself as you normally will, they will not do that. It's all a strategy to then make them to submit to do what you want them to do. Not just, I did it, but I got lazy and I don't want to do that for real. That's not love bombing.
Okay. Because I thought it was. Because I feel like if a man, I just feel like consistency. If you know consistently that's just not who you really are at your core, you're not a romantic person, you're not an affectionate man, you're none of those things. Why to present it in the beginning with all intention on, I know this is what a woman might want from me. I know this is what women like, so I'm gonna just do it just for that sole purpose. And once I have her right where I wanna, I'm gonna snatch it.
So let me ask you something. How long does that take?
What, love bombing, like a person giving it and then taking it away?
Your definition.
I mean, I pay attention for the first 6 months. That's my.
So you think that somebody could intentionally date you and treat you this honeymoon phase for 6 months and then all of a sudden they pull it back?
That can happen, yeah.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah,
can happen.
yeah.
So and within those 6 months, they never stopped. They always treated you that honeymoon way. And then what happened? All of a sudden now that they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
But what happened? Why did they stop?
That's not love bombing if they just stop?
No.
They just go cold turkey?
No, because
so what does
is
it
the
mean?
strategy?
So what does that mean then?
But that's what I'm saying. There's a strategy. There's a reason why they're doing it. So did they isolate you yet? Did they start breaking you down and telling you how ugly you are and why you wearing that and why you talking back and why you? That's love bombing.
Okay, so now I understand.
Treat you
because
this
I thought
way.
love bombing was just what I just stated. I didn't know love bombing meant it was like a whole process after the fact with that.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No,
You-
it's a step. It's a step. And usually a narcissist uses love bombing. That's why it's not just a thing. Like, this is a whole strategy. It's like preying on a child. You go to the park and you see the child over and over again, and you give them candy and you give them chocolate, and then eventually you snatch them. And now you got Stockholm Syndrome, and this child now fell in love with their abuser. It's a strategy.
Okay.
It's not just something that happens independently. You get what I'm saying? So somewhere along the line, there was a red flag in that 6 months. That
But it was just
a
overlooked.
yellow flag,
But it was
overlooked.
overlooked. Okay, it makes
that
sense.
person is a normal, regular person, is not just gonna date you, treat you great for 6 months, and all of a sudden they just stop. That's not how they work. Somewhere along the line, they dropped the ball. You wasn't paying attention.
Okay. That makes sense.
So to be love bombed, more or less, you're being tricked. You're actually being manipulated. That's why I said it's a strategy. This person is actually manipulating
So how
you.
would a person know if they're being love bombed?
You
then?
wouldn't. That's the whole
Oh.
point. You wouldn't know until
Okay.
you done reached to probably step 5 and you're like, hold on. This person treated me like this. They did this. But in the beginning, it was so great. And now I'm living with them. I'm completely dependent on them. They talk to me crazy. Then you start to figure out, oh, shit, I got love bombed. A person who's being love bombed don't know that they're being love bombed. That's
so there's no way of knowing. Okay.
Yeah, you don't just be like, oh, he's love bombing me. I'm going to just stick around and see how long this lasts. That's not how that works.
That makes sense.
That's why it's a mental health diagnosis.
Okay.
It's an imbalance. It's a personality disorder. I'm just saying that's one of the strategies along with like narcissism that we were talking about. It's not just something that happens and somebody's willingly engaging in it because, oh, it just stopped. Like, that's not how that works. They have actually been manipulated at this point.
Okay. You educated me. I wasn't aware.
I haven't seen somebody put points on the board like this since T-Mac with 13 seconds on the clock. Oh, my God. She got a 50-point game right now. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. You got a jersey inside for me to sign? Oh, my Lord.
God.
Oh, my gosh. This is such a breath of fresh air. Oh, my Lord. This is fucking great, bro. See, I don't even mean to curse.
Because I'm open to being educated.
Oh, my God, man. You know what's crazy, though? Because partially what you said to her, I think said that to her earlier.
No,
and
you did
like
not.
I said, I definitely did. But those again, look at her. All right.
He did not say that.
I'm just happy you learned something. That's all.
Thank you.
All right, bro. I hate that you had to be the person sitting on the couch for it, but it's just, once again, I always say this podcast is a representation of the world in a sense, right? There's a lot of people out there that might think like her. So I'm glad it was someone like you to tell her that, because at the end of the day, it comes back down to stop using these terms when y'all can't diagnose people / clinically explain why people are like that. Y'all are not licensed to do such. Stop doing it. Just stop doing it. It's okay to be uneducated on certain things and find the education on your own. It is okay. But people are being willfully ignorant. That is the term of the day.
The only thing
People are
that bothers me. I'm gonna cut him off for this one because the only thing that bothers me.
20-minute one-on-one.
No, the only thing that bothers me is that there are a lot of people that behave the way he behaves, displayed on this podcast. And when people call them out for it, make it seem like the person's tripping for what they're saying about the person. Because I'm not able to diagnose, I can't say that you're being all of these negative things. That's my issue. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. Now I'm be quiet.
I understand. You was talking about boundaries.
Yes, boundaries. Are boundaries quote unquote rules, and if are boundaries and rules synonymous with one another, or do you think they are?
No, I don't think boundaries are rules.
So elaborate on that. Why you don't believe that?
I feel like a boundary is a negotiation between you and the person, but not at the expense of you.
Let me ask you another question. Do you believe a boundary could also be synonymous with an ultimatum?
No.
And explain on that.
An ultimatum is when you're telling someone they have to choose between two things that they love or something that they really want. A boundary you would come with. That's a negotiation. That's like, I'm willing to do this, but this is my limitation. So it's not an ultimatum. I'm not making you choose. That's for you to decide. I'm letting you know what works for me. You decide if that works for you.
So that's the part that loses me, I guess, or the gray line of the boundary and ultimatum line is I'm not making you choose. I don't feel like in neither of those you're making you choose. Ultimatum is literally saying you give, point A, point B, and depending on how you answer is how that person is going to move. So how does that make a difference in boundaries? Because boundaries are the same thing. Well, these are my boundaries. And if you cross this boundary, I'm already gonna walk away.
Well, that's your boundary. That doesn't have to be the boundary. You come up with the consequence. An ultimatum is more than likely you do this or you do this. If you do that, I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. It's a loss. It's a choice. You're making someone choose. Either you're gonna keep your job or you're gonna be with me, but you can't have both. That's an ultimatum. Mm-hmm. Right. I can't set a boundary around your job unless it's something along the lines of, hey, it's disrespectful to me if every time we go on a date, you're working on the date. I'd rather not date you while you're at work. That's a boundary. I'm not making you choose between your job or me, but you got to put some type of a boundary in place.
All right, so let's ask you the viral question, right?
He said the Bible question?
Yes. It was off of one of our clips that's going crazy.
Which one are you talking about?
Let me finish and you'll hear it. The viral question was, she said in terms of premarital counseling, if my partner does not want to do premarital counseling, we are not getting married. I said to her, you are aware that is giving your partner an ultimatum. She said, no, it's not. It's a boundary. Let me get your 2 cents.
Can I explain what I said exactly before you?
No, there's nothing to explain. That's literally what she said verbatim. It's on file. It's on the episode. So let me get your take and then let her hop in.
All right, but is it a boundary?
Is it a boundary or ultimatum? Based on what she said. I said it was an ultimatum.
Am I able to explain what I was saying in the pod before he responds?
I'm going to say it one more time. She said, in terms of premarital...
I can tell you what I said.
Because you're going to add some extra social. You said... All right, once again, this is why she's going to get upset, right? Because I'm going to have to start using my yes or no bag. If a man doesn't want to do premarital counseling with Patrice, are you saying with him yes or no?
I do not respond to binary questions. I'm going to go with buzzwords. Yes. I have to learn things with him.
You see why it makes it hard to kind of understand her sometimes? Because
that could be a boundary and an ultimatum. But it depends. That's what I'm saying. Was it there first? Like, did you say when you got with this guy, hey, if we're not doing premarital counseling, I'm not getting married?
That's exactly what I say in the very beginning while dating.
Then that's a boundary.
Thank you.
That's not an ultimatum. When you present it to me, I let you know from rip, I don't care who you are. This is my boundary. That's not an ultimatum. I'm not telling you now you have to choose between me and getting counseling. That's an ultimatum. You're telling me now, after we done been in a relationship for however long we've been, now you're telling me that I have to go to premarital counseling or I cannot be with you. That's an ultimatum.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing that loses me, because in terms of boundary that you said, right? Boundary, there's normally a wiggle room of negotiation or something to talk about. And her stance, there's nothing to talk about.
But that's her boundary. She started with it.
So that's what I'm saying. So ideally speaking, then a boundary, there's no wiggle room. I just want to agree on certain things. Because what you said earlier, you said a boundary has a room for negotiation. There's no negotiation with that.
What's the last part I said?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you got half of it. Not at the expense of me.
Agree to disagree.
That's fine. But that's a boundary.
In general, in dating, I have a lot of boundaries.
That's fine. I know your question was, is boundaries a rule? So is it really a boundary or is it a rule? See, because they are not the same. It's not a rule. It's a requirement, more or less. This is what you have to have in order to date me. Or I'm willing to work with this, but I'm not willing to sacrifice this for that. That's a boundary. I'm willing to engage in this conversation with you, but the moment you start yelling at me, this conversation is over. That's my boundary. It's not a rule. You could choose if you want to yell or scream. But when you start yelling, I'm telling you that I ain't saying nothing else. That's my boundary. You choose freely what you want to do.
Agreed.
You just said.
Agreed.
Okay.
I don't know. Listen, I agree to disagree. You know, I mean, to that last point, I agreed. But I agree to disagree because at the end of the day, even by definition, by that clip, and because I think that's another thing too. People say the ultimatum thing is a last resort. It's not. By definition, ultimatum is not a last resort. By definition of saying that very sentence, I'm going to say it again. If I want to go to premarital counseling, if you do not go, we are not going to continue being together. It doesn't matter if you say it, whether we're 6 years in or in the beginning. That is an ultimatum. By definition, that is an ultimatum.
Not an ultimatum.
I never said that.
When
though.
you came in this relationship, I'm telling you what is required for me. I am not giving you an ultimatum. I'm letting you know right now, you can choose if you want to even try this or be here. But I'm letting you know that in order to date me, if we get to the step of marriage, if you're not willing to get all right, so you're telling me this. Let me ask you this. If I be to date somebody and I tell them that in order for me to be in a relationship with you, you have to be a God-fearing man. That's an ultimatum?
No.
So what's the difference?
Because the thing with the ultimatum is, it's like, my thing with the ultimatum, let me find the words, right? The thing I have with this boundary thing, right? And this is why I kind of said boundary is synonymous with rules. That's why I keep saying yes or no. Is there wiggle room in boundaries? Because that is low-key, that defines this conversation right now. If there is a let me finish. If there is a wiggle room in boundaries, then if this context of what we're talking about when it comes to premarital counseling, depending on what that man says, shouldn't be an automatic we're not working together. It should be a conversation. For her, in this context of this conversation, if you say no to premarital counseling, there's no going forward. Therefore, that means there's no wiggle room, which means there's no wiggle room that is not a boundary because there was never room to wiggle in. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, but it depends on what your consequence is. If you come into a relationship with me at the beginning, and I'm telling you, first date, if you're not willing to go to premarital counseling, then I don't want to be with you. That's my boundary. Just like saying, hey, if we're dating, I'm dating with intention. If you're not looking to get married and have kids, I don't want to be with you. That's not an ultimatum. I'm letting you know up front, this is what I'm willing to do. But that you might be like, oh, I'm going to holler at you. I don't want kids. It's no ultimatum. We don't work. We just wasted so many years and so many months of dating for no reason. I let you know up front because I know what I want. That's not an ultimatum.
Like I said, agree to disagree.
I just stand 10 toes in my boundaries. I put myself first. And when I love myself enough that if it means I'm gonna be single because I don't want to let somebody step over my boundary, I'll be single.
I agree. I mean,
I agree too.
You don't have to be single. You'll find somebody who aligns with that boundary. But that's the whole point of pruning. That's the whole point of weaning up. You don't qualify by. You don't qualify by. Let me keep going until I find who I'm looking for, or until they find me. That's why I said you're assigned to people.
I agree. I just personally believe that when you say certain blanketed statements or make such strong, bold statements as such, that yes, it comes off as an ultimatum because at the end of the day, actually, let me
to the wrong man.
It's not an ultimatum because everyone has the decision to choose.
Let me rewind to also, and this could just be my opinion. This is my opinion at the end of the day. I feel like dating is so hard because people are lacking what they working with one another. Nobody is perfect on this earth. So for what she said, I stand 10 toes in my boundaries. Okay. I feel like everyone is low-key moving like that. Everyone is standing 10 toes in their boundary, and there's no wiggle room in relationships nowadays. Nobody's budging for nobody else. Everyone's like, well, this is what I want in a person, and that's it. And everyone is moving like that. That's why obviously everyone's not single, but for the most part, we're having so much trouble in the dating field because everyone is like, well, this is what I want, and if I don't get it, I'm not being with you. And these are my boundaries. Okay, so when are we going to start acknowledging that your boundaries might be a little toxic? Or your boundaries might not fit the average person?
Right. Sometimes they can be unrealistic, but I think that you're onto something. I don't think that that's necessarily the problem. I think the problem is people are following what social media glorifies as a relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's why the dating pool sucks. They expect people to be moving six figures. Mm-hmm. They expect people to just be tricking on them and all these different things, and it doesn't really work like that. Nobody talks about character anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody talks about what do you need when the camera is off and when you're not, I don't know, doing a podcast or on social media, whatever it is, that's the side hustles and all that. Nobody's talking about that anymore. We're just talking about what you present with. Mm-hmm. What are your qualifications? How much money do you make? When we're dating nowadays, I hear all these conversations about, well, what do you do? Mm-hmm. Why is that? What about your heart posture? What about what your heart says? What about how do you treat the person that you don't need? We're not looking for qualities anymore. That's the problem. It's not about boundaries. It's about what we're looking for in individuals, and that's why the dating pool sucks. Everybody's looking for someone who can do something better for them. Nobody's looking at someone who could come sit at the table and eat with them. Mm-hmm. I got the forks, you got the spoons. Mm-hmm. Nobody's looking at that anymore. It's either you coming with the table or not. No, that's not how that works. That's the problem in today's world.
Bars.
And for me, despite me having those boundaries, I'm open to compromise with the person I care about.
And that's what I said a boundary is. It's a negotiation between you and the person, just not at the expense of you. Meaning you don't have to sacrifice everything to be leveled with the person. Mm-hmm. No. So I can tell you that I want to date a God-fearing man. Guess what? That means either you going to be a baby in Christ or you not. Either way, I'm not dating you if you don't love God or you don't fear God. That's just my boundary. There's really nothing for us to discuss. Now, you could say, you know what, right now that's not where I'm at, but I'm going to start going. Or, you know what, I want to learn something more about that. Then let's see. But I'm not going to make you do it. Mm-hmm. No. And that's the problem. Mm-hmm. So when we start dating, we say these things and then we try to change the individual. And now you got tricked. It didn't work out. This is toxic and all this other things that's going on instead of sticking with what is being presented in front of you. Mm-hmm.
I completely agree. Listen, she left no crumbs again.
So boundaries are not rules.
So, all right, negotiation. Thanksgiving coming up. We already see we're not leaving no crumbs on their plate. No cap. Little cat, man. So, I mean, yeah.
So don't bully me anymore is all I'm saying.
I'm not bullying you. You know what's crazy? I always say to her, I have no problem with your boundaries as long as you're comfortable with the consequences that come with it or whatever actions come with it. I say that to her. I've said it on the pod verbatim, multiple episodes. I don't ever care what people do and what boundaries you have as long as you are comfortable with the consequences that come with it. And that is it. If you like it, I love it, to paraphrase.
The only reason I get upset is when he says things like he feels like I treat relationships like a dictatorship. That's what bothers me.
Well, you shouldn't do that.
Because I don't believe I do that.
Oh, okay.
I believe that I have boundaries and there's things I will accept and things I won't accept. And when I say I will not accept it, I stand on I will not accept that. That's what I feel like I do. He translates that into dictatorship. I don't tell anybody to do whatever. They do whatever they feel like they want to do.
But when go ahead.
Because I want to say, I feel like everything's warranted with a conversation, right? So, once again, to just go off of the scenario that we put. The reason why I said it like that, once again, because with her, now if she decided to change her mind, because you're allowed to change your mind, you're allowed to change, you know? Mm-hmm. All right, it's not contradicting yourself. You decided to change today, you know? Yeah. Okay? But as that conversation happened, we both said, me and JD in the cut, say, yo, in terms of premarital counseling, if that man had, quote unquote, what he felt was a valid reason as to why he doesn't want to go, say he went to therapy in the past or he had premarital counseling in the past and it didn't work for him, is that warranted? Like, can you take his reason into consideration? Or it's just, if he doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. She said at that time, if he doesn't want to do it, we're just not going forward. So I was like, you're not even considering what he might have went through in that time or his reasoning as to why he doesn't want to do it. You're not even opening the dialogue of conversation as to why he doesn't want to do it. You're simply just saying, if he says no, I'm not doing it. And I feel like that was unfair.
If you date somebody and you tell them that you want kids and they tell you they don't want kids, does it matter why they don't want kids?
Yeah, I would definitely ask why.
So are you willing to sacrifice the fact that you want kids and they don't?
No, but I feel like
So what's the point in the conversation?
I feel like it's nice to understand maybe why they don't want or what reason they have to not want kids. If they have,
that's up to you. But if it's not going to change your opinion, then what's the point of the conversation? If it's not going to change how you feel, what's the point of the conversation? I don't disagree. You can have a conversation about it. That's great. Now I understand why you don't want to do it. That still has nothing to do with me because I know I want kids. So this still don't work.
But that's what I'm saying. That's still that is quote unquote opinion because that person can say they don't want kids. You can have a conversation with that person and be like, well, maybe have a conversation why you want kids and maybe the beauty in seeing kids, and that could change their mind within that conversation. You never know though if the conversation is never had.
You're absolutely correct. That's why I said you're not wrong for that. But if the person is telling you, I'm not doing counseling, I'm not doing premarital counseling, well, how you gonna make them have a conversation on why?
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said in this case, if the person obviously is giving you reasons, listen, she says out the gate, right? I want to do premarital counseling. The guy goes, I don't want to. I'm not too heavy on premarital counseling because of X, Y, and Z. Are you allowing them to have that conversation, or are you gonna be like, well, if you don't want to just cut them off, like, yeah, if you don't want to have it, then we're not going forward.
Can I explain why I don't want to have a conversation when somebody tells me no?
Go ahead.
I fear allowing I don't want to be manipulated. So I don't want to have a date with a man and I say, going forward, if I do get married or engaged or if this goes far, I would like to go to premarital counseling. The guy tells me no. And then he sees my reaction. And if I have the conversation, I'm like, well, it's important to me. And then he turns around. He could try to flip the story and make it seem like, well, I am willing to go. Even though deep down inside in his soul, he he's not going when the time comes.
That happened to me before.
I don't want to deal with that possibility. But he would be open to the side. He'll be open to what happens after. When that's on him. My thing is, I don't want to leave room for manipulation, basically. If I say I don't want something and we're not on the same page, I'd rather not waste my time. We're not on the same page, that's okay. But if, God forbid, the man tells me I'm open and then later on he tells me, when it's time we're engaged and I'm like, all right, babe, let's do a premarital counseling. He's like, I don't want to go. I'm taking the ring off because you lied. I don't want to be with a liar.
That's fair.
And that's why I handle the things up. If I say from first date, we're not on the same page, have a good day. It was cool, nice. But
that's why people should be intentional with their words. And that's that. That's what it goes to. So in that conversation right there, it could be like, hey, I never thought about it like that, but I'll think about it. You don't have to say no. Because if you say no, again, you don't know what the consequences are that's going to come with it. Mm-hmm. If I say I want kids and you're telling me, no, I don't want kids. How about, I don't know if I'm ready for kids, but we could talk about it. That's different. But if you're going to say no, then I have all right to be like, well, this is not for me. Mm-hmm. Why I'm going to waste my time? I'm not about to sit here and try to make you change your mind.
But I still feel like the hindsight at the end of the day is like, even if you want to, I guess, prolong it by saying, I don't know, let me think about it. But internally it's a no.
But you can't control that person, whatever comes out of their mouth. So if you're going to tell me no, then I'm going to say I'm not wasting my time. I'm going to holler at you. If you say, hey, I'm going to think about it, then now I have to prune. And I have to pay attention. And I have to see if you're even willing. Do you even go to therapy on your own? This is what I mean by yellow flags. It's certain things that you pay attention to so you don't get tricked. So you don't get set up in the end. So, yeah, but if you say no, I'm not about to be like, well, let me see if I could possibly change his mind. No.
But to be honest, if in a conversation a man said to me, I never considered it, it's a maybe, I'm not going forward. I need somebody that's sure.
Yeah, okay, that's you. That's how that works for you. Mm. What I will say is you want to be careful because you don't want to lose out on your blessing. Everybody don't know everything. You have the right to choose and decide who you want to be every day that you wake up. Mm-hmm. People have the right to change their mind. So that maybe, let me think about it, could mean, let me go back, I know a pastor, let me talk to a pastor, or let me blah, blah, blah. That didn't mean no, but you blocked your blessing by just cutting them off. Just saying. By saying, because, you don't know. You might not know right now. That doesn't mean in 3 weeks or in a month, or you know what, this girl is really worth it. I never met a woman like this. Let me try this out for the first time.
Okay.
But you have to decide what works for you.
See, I mean, I don't know. This is why that's why relationships are just so hard because
is hard.
That episode is such a controversial episode because we spoke about a lot in that episode. For example, and this is the last thing I'm gonna bring up because we do got to close out. You've been running on really long, but it feels like it.
The longest episode.
So I'm like, but one thing I wanted to talk about too, and this is why I said the dictatorship to her thing. She said we have to go to premarital counseling. All right, so say you are the man that agreed. Yes. She also has a standard that you're not allowed, we're not talking to anyone but counselors/therapists if we ever have issues. So now as a man, if I'm like, well, I disagree to that. I'm not allowed to talk to
I didn't say that. I don't want him to go forward because he's being dishonest.
I'm not being... All right, so we're going to go back to yes or no.
Stop looking up because I don't say that.
Patrice, in a relationship...
Say what you said.
I said, I will not go to friends or family with my relationship issues. That's what I said. Now you can continue.
Did I say something different?
You said that the man can't talk to, or the couple.
Okay,
can't
so let's talk
talk
about
to other people.
let's talk about her consequence to it. If that man goes to your friends or family, what will you do?
To her friends or family.
Yes, what will you do? Or he goes to it because she doesn't want either or.
I don't want me and my the reason. Let me layer it first because I said it
Oh,
had
it's the layer.
No, because I'm gonna tell you exactly how it was said because he likes
not
to
about
take
how it's
off the
said,
negative.
Patrice. Are you gonna
hold
leave
on
that
to the
man, yes
negative.
or no?
Let me. Anyways.
You see what I mean?
Because
Bro.
I went off of the fact that I grew up with parents that were married for 30 plus years. I have friends that are married. The advice they always give is keep your friends and your family out your marriage. So in my marriage, I don't want me and my spouse to go to families or friends. They're spectators. They don't have no business in my business. When my spouse decides he wants to step out and talk to my friends and family, I don't want to talk to you. Don't come to me with no bullshit after that. You decided to go do what we didn't. We went against our rule in our marriage and went and spoke to them. You broke the trust for me because I said no. Let's deal with it internally and get the help from whatever we need to get help for. That's what I said.
That still doesn't negate what I'm telling you. So if he does do such a thing, how do you proceed forward?
I don't want to hear what he has to say from whoever told him what they told him. That's how I said. That's what I said.
That's not what you said.
If my partner comes to me and is like, "Oh, so and so, I spoke to so and so," I don't want to hear that. I'm not. We're not going to talk.
And then
we're not talking right
here
there.
became the problem because I feel like she negates experience, right? So for the exact same example, if you have in the guy's case, what if he had nothing but healthy marriages around him? So he's not allowed to speak to nothing but married people because why? They're not counselors, not therapists. Because they're his family friends, and because you have a bad experience with your personal family, he's not allowed to put his trust or get advice from his healthy family. And you just now you don't even want to hear it. You're not even allowing yourself to hear it. You're saying I don't want to hear it simply because this person's not a licensed professional.
Because that's perception. He could have a perception in his mind that they were in healthy relationships, and I don't believe that. So him going to them could be in his mind, they're healthy, they know what to do.
But y'all are two different individuals, so you still present in a marriage as two different individuals coming together to make a union. So his perception is always going to be different than yours. Some things you guys might align on, some things you won't.
But I also feel like if my partner goes to his friends or family, they're going to give a biased opinion. They're not going to be...
That's your opinion. That's not a fact.
Well, it's my marriage. I don't want me and my partner to go out to family and friends.
That's just my...
It's
y'all marriage together.
And who I marry...
Y'all are together.
And this is the problem we keep having. Me and him's not dating. We will never date. What he feels is what he feels, and I don't care. No, because we need to make that clear. Because in the comments, they think that. The man I want to be with, I would hope, and this is what I said before, I would hope we can have conversations and they just align with me. That's who I want to be with, the person that aligns with me. I don't want people in my business, my friends and family in my business. I'm very private. I do not go to my friends and family and kiki about my problems in my relationship.
Fine, but you could be private. But that doesn't mean that
I don't want them going. I don't want the problems. I don't want taking my problems
just
out
move
my
the
house.
goalpost like
I don't care.
This
I don't care.
You gotta work out because it doesn't. Just because you seek or he may seek advice from a friend or family doesn't mean that they're gonna be biased, and it doesn't mean that it's gonna come with problems.
And it doesn't mean he's telling the whole story. You can just paint a scenario and ask for advice.
And also, too, I'm sorry.
Well, that's just my fear.
And I don't want to throw no shade to you.
Okay, that's your fear, but look, you taking that fear and you're projecting your fear into something else. Then you're projecting your fear onto your marriage, which is supposed to be lifelong. You're gonna have ups and downs. You're not gonna just align. So you got to be careful where you project that fear because it's powerful. You're actually taking away outlet that might encourage this person, that might build them up and help them be stronger. You're taking it from them because of whatever your experience is and your fear. Now you're projecting it onto somebody else when it might be actually beneficial to them. They're not you. You are not them. How now you can set and have expectations that, listen, whatever you found or whatever advice you got, please come back with something that is healthy. If they telling you to curse out and break shit and do all of that, leave that shit at the door because that don't work here. But if they gave you something, they checked you, you pick and choose as a grown-ass man what works and what doesn't work. You have to allow the person to be an individual too. Or you in love with yourself. You're looking in the mirror at yourself. That doesn't work. That person is still an individual.
And also, too, I just want to add this as well. And no shade to your profession. But I did say on that episode, too, right? She put so much credence and so much credibility on a licensed therapist. You don't know who that person is. Like we established in the beginning of this episode, you do not know who they are when they go home. I jumped to the extreme. I said, you don't know. For all you know, you could go to a therapist that's a Klansman on the outside. But because they're a licensed therapist, you think because they're a licensed therapist, their word is over everybody.
But and sorry to cut you off, but very good point. And to be honest, I'm a human. I'm a woman. Sometimes we get depressed, we get sad, and that's why we need mentors. That's why we need therapists so we could check in too, and we can make sure that we're doing the right things and being ethical. Yes, the goal is to be ethical, but we are still humans. So yeah, people commit suicide all the time. We carry other people's problems. Some therapists aren't married. They haven't been in a successful marriage, or their marriage don't have all the issues that your marriage may have. So you want them to use their profession to the best of their ability, but their profession is not their identity.
But I also said, for example, I have friends that are married. I'm not married yet. So when my friends come to me for advice, I always redirect them to each other so they can help each other in their marriages. So when I say, I even said on that platform and in that conversation, if my partner wants to go to a couple and we talk to the couple together and we're trying to help each other, then I feel more confident than I still got to work on that part. I do.
That's your need to control all the situations.
It's not a control thing. The reason why, and stop jumping in this conversation, please. Thank you. I'm going off of what I've been taught and told. Keep your friends and your family out of your marriage.
Are those marriages successful?
The people that said it? No, they failed because they gave the advice because they let friends and family in their marriage, and that's why those marriages failed. Because sometimes going and venting, it's not like I guess I look at it this way. It's two sides to it. Yes, you could probably go and get great advice and the person could check you and teach you in this, but on the other side of it, it could be a negative to that too. You can go and then it could be, and that, I guess I'm more worried about that side of it. I'm worried about that part.
The last thing I'm gonna say about this is you also have to figure out who you're getting married for. The marriage is supposed to be a union between you, your spouse, and God. So you're supposed to go to God with that. You're supposed to go and seek advice from that. Some people don't get married for that. Some people get married for legal reasons. Some people get married for whatever that might be. So you seeking advice and seeking counsel is going to look different. So you want to make sure you and your partner is aligned on what your reason for getting married is. Then you'll know where you go to seek your counsel.
Okay.
It's a breath of fresh air.
She passed Will and Kobe, right?
I still stand on what I feel for my marriage. That's my marriage.
It is your marriage.
I don't care.
Marriage takes two people. And I'm going to say that. So a lot of these my
partner know what's up, so it don't matter.
That's the problem. I'm going to say the problem, but I'll say that is the thing to address. It's a lot of my, and I need this.
Good thing I'm not marrying you. I say that every episode.
Are you going to be mindful?
We don't date.
Are you going to be mindful to how your partner feels, or is it just going to be, well, if it doesn't go my way, it's the highway? And that's why when I state it feels like a dictatorship when you say it to certain people like myself,
he says that from the outside. He's not in my relationship, but he acts as if he is because I tell him a few things. This is why I stopped telling him things because he thinks that way.
Like I've told her as well. I can only go off of what you tell me. Right. So based on what you've told me, the information provided, it seems like a dictatorship because, like I said, it's either my way or the highway, and there's no wiggle.
I had to learn I had to learn. Yes, absolutely. And I had to learn who I'm speaking to. This is why I learned to just shut up and not say nothing anymore.
If your partner's aligned, then it worked for y'all.
Yeah,
it worked for y'all.
Mm-hmm. I said, I ain't got no complaints to it. I just say, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna sit there and make all these concrete, if they don't do this, that's how that is, bro. But like I tell her all the time, she gets mad at I feel like once again people put a lot of negative connotation towards it. Now, granted, dictatorship. You saying I'm a dictator? Dictatorship is not a negative thing. Dictatorship.
Yes. Okay, thank you. It's an insult.
Dictatorship is a negative connotation. I'll give you that one. But if you don't use anything else and just say like JD said in the cut, you're controlling. That doesn't necessarily got to be a negative trait.
You find that it's controlling?
If she says yes or no, it's an opinion.
You can say yes or no. It's fine. Tell me.
What?
Do you think how I am going into dating, I'm being controlling?
I don't think you're dating or marriage.
Or marriage, yeah.
I don't think you're being controlling. I think you got a lot of unresolved pain that you need to unpack.
That's why I'm in therapy for, girl. I know. I'm aware.
That's what I think. I wouldn't necessarily say it's controlling. I think it's fair and you're allowing fear to guide and navigate your decisions. which is a very dangerous thing.
Because I do want to highlight this as well before we close out as well. Like I said, it's good that she had a different answer. But if we want to highlight the game tapes, she was all the way saying you would not be together if he goes to his family members or you go outsource other than the way she wanted to go, which is counseling. No, we're not going to be together.
That's not what I said. He doesn't listen.
Listen, I keep saying it. The episode is there.
But
so
that's
you can
not,
watch it again.
It's in the conversation, I break down certain things and he literally grabs one sentence out of it and holds
I
it.
could only go off of what you said.
It's so many levels to the conversation that you can't keep saying that, but whatever.
That's why I try to make things simple with you, but you don't answer
No, I
questions.
try to break it down for you, but you... Good thing we're not dating.
Listen, I love this episode so much right now because everything you said, like I said, she packed you up more times than not. Gracefully.
I didn't get packed up. I was educated. Thank you.
I love that. You are absolutely welcome.
I mean, however way you want to phrase it, sister. But all right, it's a lot of things real tonight. You know what I'm saying?
She likes to guess.
It's a lot of things, all right? And I'm glad that you're a licensed therapist because I hope now for the things that we've been saying for several months, she's going to take credence to what you said. You know why?
No,
because she values your degree so much more than anything else in this world.
Did you see everything?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as we're on the same page. All right.
Listen, bro, I've always been one of those guys. I think that shit is ignorant as fuck. If 2 + 2, if I tell you 2 + 2 is 4, and you be like, well, I don't believe you because you don't got a degree, and then the next person that has a degree tells you 2 + 2 equals 4, and then you're gonna take heed to what they say because they got a degree.
That's not.
If you like it, I love it.
That's not what
I'll close out with that. If you like it, I love it.
That's so passive aggressive.
Thank you. That's not, I don't say
If
any
you
of
like
those
it, I
things.
love it. It's passive aggressive.
I don't say any of those things to him at all.
Listen, I live by that. You know
But
why? Because I
again,
don't disagree with people's lifestyles.
Who
all right?
I am
If
dating,
you chose that decision,
who I'm dating understands
Like it,
all
I
the
love it.
things we are.
Just
They
say
understand
that.
all the things we have the conversations, and that's all that matters to me.
That's all that matters.
you feel me? So with that being said, how you feel, man?
I feel great. This was very interesting. And I love hearing different people's opinions on things. It gives me different, introspect of what's going on in society. And yeah, this was interesting. Y'all should call me back again.
Yeah, I want to
different
definitely have a
topic.
different conversation.
We
Yeah,
definitely will. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, all right, back to the regular housekeeping. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the bell notification at the top so you don't miss any of our lovely drops. All right. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Being Black is Ghetto. Best pod in the towns. Co-host Patty J. Assata in the building. Your boy J Abs, and we out.
Emerald.